7:30, and James Thompson at 8 a.m. It's a Friday morning on The Voice of Reason. Don't miss it.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier. Mornings on 1480 AM and 102.5 FM. KQAM.
My friend, you can find out why Pizza John's is the pizza of choice in Derby for over 44 years. Pizza John's in Derby, the original purveyors of round meals and flat snacks, is more than pizza. Lunches include salad, spaghetti, complete with garlic bread. And Pizza John's of Derby is the hoagie headquarters of South Central Kansas. Dine in or carry out. Delivery after 5 p.m. by simply calling 788-2011 or quick and easy online at pizzajohnderby.com. Pizza John.
This is a Steckline Communication Station, K273CX, FM 102.5 and AM 1480 KQAM. Wichita proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by Continental Truck Accessories, 6701 South Broadway. Show your truck some love with Continental Truck Accessories.
Good Friday morning. That winter weather moving toward our area is still on the way. Schools in the Wichita area are running on schedule. Just a couple of delayed starts to pass along to you, those being Belle Plaine and Pretty Prairie, both running a 2-hour delay this morning. A woman was hospitalized after an early morning shooting in East Wichita shortly after 1 o'clock this morning in the 800 block of San Pablo Street. Cake TV reports Wichita police say the woman was shot while inside the home. No arrests have been made, no other information being immediately released. A Wichita man accused of threatening to blow up the White House has been sentenced to 10 months in federal prison. A court filing shows Brandon Koss of Wichita was sentenced this week on a misdemeanor charge of willful interference with the protective work of a Secret Service agent. Koss admitted in his plea deal that he made the call and said, "I'm going to blow up the White House." A winter weather advisory remaining in effect until 6 o'clock tonight. I'm Rick Everett. Now sports.
Similar to both the Wichita men's and women's basketball teams, the Shocker baseball team will be inexperienced when it takes the field this afternoon against Grand Canyon as Shocker baseball gets underway with the Angels Classic. The Shockers have 5 games over the next 5 days. Coach Todd Butler says inexperience and youth has them picked in the league right where they're supposed to be.
We're picked 7th in the league. I thought that was a perfect spot. That's where I would have picked us, because we lost the most players from last year.
For the Shocker basketball team, they will try to make it 5 in a row in conference play. They'll have to do it at a tough place on the road at Cincinnati. A noon tip-off on Sunday. From the sports desk, I'm Doug Downs.
The Laundry Station in Wichita is Kansas' premier laundry services provider. The Laundry Station has machines for all of your needs in the Wichita area. In fact, the largest machine can handle 10 loads at a time. And for those of you who are not do-it-yourselfers, the Laundry Station's premium wash, dry, fold service allows you to drop off and pick up your laundry the same day in most cases. Conveniently located in the heart of Wichita, on Oliver at Kellogg. The Laundry Station, and online at thelaundrystationks.com. Wichita Family Dental knows there's some things in life that you just have to wait for.
Is this light ever gonna turn green?
But when you're feeling dental pain, getting relief shouldn't be something you have to wait for.
'Cause I haven't got time for the pain.
At Wichita Family Dental, if you've got pain this morning and call before noon, you'll be seen today, guaranteed. Wichita Family Dental, East and West. Call 263-GRIN. That's 263-GRIN.
February is Bacon Lovers Month at Yoder Meats. We've got 5 kinds of bacon to choose from, plus cinnamon rolls with bacon. The February meat bundle has all the wintertime classics: stew meat, beef roast, noodles, and the butcher bag has jerky and snack sticks, plus pork tenderloin and chicken breast. Follow us on Facebook for the latest information and the best deals. Taste the old-fashioned flavor at Yoder Meats in Yoder and 3 locations in Wichita.
When your car starts giving you fits, do what I do. Depend on AutoSmart to take care of it. They'll take care of it in a professional and timely manner, and it'll be done right the first time. If your engine or tranny is about to shoot craps, don't go looking at new cars. See Scott about a Jasper remanufactured engine or transmission. Jasper is one of the most trusted names in the industry, and they're still the home of the $99 brake job. AutoSmart, 5751 West Central, proud supporters of the Kansas Honor Flight.
You've seen and heard every song and dance in the area from the big boys about new windows and doors. It's one great deal after another. Do you want a great deal or a great window? Oh, Do you want it installed right? Mike Golden, the Golden Window and Door expert, call him. He is personally involved with every estimate, every installation, and your total satisfaction. So here's the plan. Call Mike Golden, the Window and Door expert, 316-409-6981. Write it down, 316-409-6981. It's worth the call. Ask for references, see the golden difference. Write it down, 316-409-6981. Best pricing on windows and doors in Kansas, guaranteed. Call Mike, he'll prove it.
The latest news from the Big Talker, KQAM.
It may be a break in the trade talks going on in Beijing between the U.S. and Chinese negotiators. With the talks wrapping up there, the official Chinese news agency says those talks will add another round next week in Washington. Matt Rivers is in Beijing.
The question is how much progress was made, and is it enough progress to get Donald Trump to back off that key March 1st deadline? That's when tariffs on Chinese imports to the U.S. go from 10% all the way up to 25%. That could irreversibly escalate this trade war.
The president will appear in the White House Rose Garden at 10 Eastern Time this morning to sign the budget compromise sent to him by Congress without the money he wants for a border wall. And correspondent Joe Johns tells us more is expected.
He's also going to sign off on executive action up to and including the declaration of a national emergency in order to get his border wall built.
That's expected to lead to congressional and court battles. Wall Street stock futures now reversing overnight losses, slightly positive territory now. I'm Michael Toscano.
Your local weather on KQAM, brought to you by Jewelry Savers. Conveniently located off K96 on Greenwich Road. The Kansas trusted jewelry source since 1971. Jewelry Savers.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, snow and freezing drizzle, possibly mixed with sleet before 4 p.m. High around 27, up to a half an inch of new snow and sleet accumulation, wind gusts up to 20 miles an hour, mostly cloudy and 16 for tonight. I'm Amp Harold, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 6:06, it's currently 25 degrees.
Kansas state politics at its best. Catch the latest only on the Big Talker, KQAM. It's time for Reason.
Everybody has to struggle. There's always a hurdle. They're not born divisive. They're not born racist. They're not born with hate in their hearts for prejudice against another skin color or a gender or whatever. They're not born with this idea that the world sucks and that there's inequality in the world and that I can't get ahead in life. They only think that because they're told that.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. What a day we have. It's a Friday. It's a post-Valentine's Day. Welcome into it. Broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on the Big Talker. 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. We are simulcasting on TV. We're rocking it on YouTube Live. A lot of people jumping on YouTube this morning as well. We appreciate that. Welcome aboard. Great to have you along today. 316-721-8255. 316-721-TALK. If you want to join into the program, we'd love to hear from you today on the ABC Recycling Hotlines. Big show, big stuff going on today. As you know, the big news that we have to touch on, which we're going to use this for our pass it or exit in hour number 2, but the executive order, the border crisis, the border security national crisis that Donald Trump has said that he will sign. He will be signing the budget today. He will also be signing an executive order for additional funding for the wall because, well, thanks, Congress, you tried, but you failed miserably. And 55 miles of a border wall and whatever other compromises that we tried to throw in there are absolutely ridiculous, and you failed miserably. So thanks a lot. We'll go ahead and just do it ourselves. And this is going to cause a lot of controversy on both sides of the aisle, as it already has. So we'll get your thoughts on it, but we'll also use that as our pass it or exit in hour number 2. We got a lot of statewide issues to get to as well this morning, which is going to be fun. So stay tuned in for that. Plus, James Thompson, yes, he will be joining us in studio at 8 a.m. Oh, and by the way, check this out. As you know, we've been working on the TV and the YouTube broadcast for the studio, and we've been upgrading some cameras and upgrading our equipment and our system in here, and it's getting better and better every day. I'm loving the way it's looking. I'm loving the way we're doing it. So we're getting closer. We're not quite there yet, but check this out. So when we have the guest in studio. Now I get to go over and hit this little guy here, and boom, there it is. It's like a real TV quality production. If you're on radio, like, I don't know what's happening, but hey, it's okay. So we actually get to flip from camera to camera for our guests. We have two guests in studio today. One of them, James Thompson, will be joining at 8 a.m. This morning. And then at 8:30, Davis Liquor Outlet. They'll be joining us and talking to us about some of the legislation going on from the alcohol and liquor sales and some of the legislation going on there. So we'll chat with them at 8:30 as well. So we have two guests in studio, and we get to try out our brand new equipment, which is going to be pretty sweet. So looking forward to it as we're continuously upgrading, getting ready for more TV affiliates to be jumping on board with potentially with us here very soon. And we're excited. We're really pumped up. But it's an open line. Oh, yeah, by the way, I haven't even played it yet. It's a free-for-all Friday. Come on. That means whatever's on your mind today, bothering you, troubling you, you get to decide the conversation, the topic. We got a lot to talk about, but it's kind of up to you today. So what's happening? Come on. Let's do it. Yeah. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. Let's give you the rundown quickly as we will talk about this with our past interaction at hour number 2. But, of course, with the budgetary bill, it is – now, here's the thing. And Congressman Roger Marshall from the Big First District voted no for this 55-mile wall border security bill because it's $1 trillion and we don't know what else is in it. And it's one of those, again, pass it to find out what's actually in it sort of thing. And Roger Marshall saying no because the 55 miles of wall is not enough. So he voted no on this one, saying, quote, this compromise is totally unacceptable. I'm not sure how this negotiation process went from bad to worse. President Trump was very clear about needing $5.7 billion to build 230 miles of the wall across the southern border. I cannot support a deal that only funds 55 miles of the wall. And I say kudos to you, Congressman Roger Marshall, on that one, because I completely agree. Now, some, and I'll get your thoughts on this here soon, but some think that it was, well, the best negotiation we can get, and Donald Trump's just going to have to deal with the rest of it. Some say that we do the El Chapo thing and borrow the $14 billion from him or take it from what we seized and use that for the border security. And some just said, no, it's Congress's deal. Make it happen, and you need to fund this. And this really shows, look, we're not doing a good enough job on the PR front showing that the Democrats actually do not give a rip about border security, do not actually care about the threats coming across our border, the drugs coming across our border, the human trafficking or the guns or anything else coming across our southern border that we need to address immediately. So thank God President Trump is saying, yeah, you know what, fine. You guys did the best you could. Sure, I'll sign it. It's not going to be the end, though. And they're a little upset about that. So we'll get all your thoughts on that one. I do want to, here's something to think about. And I think this falls in with the border security. I think this falls in with the whole PETA thing we talked about earlier in the week. I think this falls in with the regulation that's going on across the nation, and California kind of leading the front on that one. According to Breitbart.com and the latest polls, that the majority of California residents want to leave the state. Now, I don't think they should be allowed to leave the state because they voted for this garbage. Many of them did. The ones that voted for it should stay there. I guess the ones that didn't vote for that, they should have the right to leave. But, majority of California residents want to leave. A new poll reveals that 53% of California residents are considering leaving the Golden State because of the high cost of living. Now, remember, California is one of those states that likes the open borders. California is one of those states, at least some of the many of the activists and the politicians that are in charge in California are ones that like to take care of illegal aliens and illegal immigrants. California is one of those states that likes to say, well, you are barbecuing some meat in the backyard, and that is very offensive to me, and I don't like the smell of it, so therefore I get to write a citation to you because that's a terrible, horrible thing that you're doing. California is that state. So it makes sense why people would actually want to leave it, but I'm really hoping it's not the people that actually voted for any of the policies. I mean, anything from the banning of the plastic straw to the legalization of certain substances. And I'm not talking about pot there. What I'm talking about is the administering of harder drugs at clinics because, well, we don't want them ODing on the side of the street, so let's administer it to them in a clinical sense so that way they don't actually overdose. Because that solves the problem, doesn't it? So between those issues, between the ridiculously high taxes, between the largest EPA environmental policies in the entire country, between hating the rich. I mean, you just saw the story with Jeff Bezos and Amazon, Amazon pulling out the $3 billion investment into New York because AOC and some of the other politicians said, yeah, we don't want you. You're evil and rich, and we don't like you. And now the mayor of New York is actually saying, wait a second, I'm a little frustrated and upset about this. That was new money coming in. We got rich people leaving left and right in New York City. What's going on here? We need to find a way to actually pay for the free health care that we're trying to fund. We need to find a way to pay for the late-term abortions that we need to have in New York City. We need to have these things going on. Why are all the rich people leaving? Who's going to pay this bill? So Amazon, looking at doing that $3 billion investment into New York, now they're like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that because you guys don't like us. So you know what? We're going to go somewhere where we're valued. And they're not happy about that. That's the California mentality. That's the federal government mentality. And that's what we have to change. So no wonder they want to leave. The problem is that many of these individuals leave, not all, because if you actually want to get away from the insanity, then welcome aboard, and you're more than welcome to come here. Governor Brownback did a great job trying to bring the dairy industry from California to Kansas because that's a huge opportunity for us to gain revenue in a different type of agricultural industry where we can bring some more money in. And we can make them feel a little more comfortable than saying we need to regulate your cow farts. Even though AOC wants to do that at the federal level, but now that's laughable as well. We are going to talk to James Thompson about that in hour number 3, is, by the way, because I think that will be kind of an entertaining conversation. So Californians, if they want to leave, it's who wants to actually leave. Are they like halvesies on the stuff? I'm progressive, and yeah, I like higher taxes, and yeah, I like banning plastic straws, but the cow farts was just too much for me, so I want to leave. So are you going to leave and go to another state, and then you're going to be like, hey, we should ban plastic straws here. Hey, we should put environmental regulations in here. Hey, we should have a larger presence of PETA here because I really like the animals. Hey, we should turn this into semi-California. We don't want to go all the way California. We just want to be halvesies California. And that's what concerns me. And obviously people have the right to move wherever they want to, but if 53% of Californian residents want to consider leaving the Golden State, the question is why? Why do you want to leave? Is it too extreme or not extreme enough? Do you want to change where you move to, or do you want to go to another place because you value the type of lifestyle that they have? Cost of living issues. All right, then move to a place where it's really cheap, but then don't come there and try and fight for the fight for 15. Don't try and change the cost of living there by raising inflation. Don't try and change it there by raising taxes. Don't try and move somewhere else and then raise the cost of living there because you want more government regulation or you want to push for more unions. Don't do that. And that seems to be what happens. That's what happened to Colorado. Colorado was a solid conservative Republican state with a couple weird patches of blue liberal progressivism within the state from the Boulder area, the Manitou Springs area. But other than that, it was very conservative. And the conservatives dominated with a majority in the Congress and usually a Republican. Kind of went back and forth, kind of like here every few years, back and forth, Republican, Democrat in the governorship. But predominantly it was a Republican legislature. And oh, how the times have changed. Now all the Californians came out to Colorado. They started growing the marijuana. They started doing ridiculous things. They got from the beach bums to the mountain bums for the ski bums. And now they're there and they are voting in a very progressive manner. And now both chambers of Congress in Colorado are very progressive. Now they have a very liberal progressive Democrat governor. And they're passing ridiculous, absurd bills from banning semi-automatic rifles to trying to allow a universal health care system in Colorado, to wanting to push for not only marijuana legalization, but for the magic mushrooms and for other harder drugs. And they're just going down psycho lane because that's what happens when you leave someplace and you go to another place and then you try and change that place to where you originally came from. That's what's happening with the issue at the border, isn't it? We have illegal immigrants coming in, and then instead of saying, oh, yeah, America's great, we love America, we want to be like the American dream, and we want the American culture, and we want to assimilate into the American culture because that's what we want, because we're leaving a place that was bad, and we want to come here and live your type of lifestyle. Instead, they're coming, and they're still waving the flags of where they came from, and they said, we want to change our little habitat where we're living in America to be like what we were like there. So why the heck did you leave? To me, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, hold your values, hold your traditions, hold on to your culture, That's not bad at all, and I encourage that. That's why we are the melting pot or the mosaic or however else you want to look at it. I mean, yeah, hold on to your culture and your traditions. At the same time, assimilate into American society because that's what has made America great so far, and that's what's going to allow you to try something different from what you left because what you left obviously wasn't that good. It doesn't matter whether you're moving state to state or whether you're moving nation to nation. But people have a hard time letting go. So even though they complain about what they're doing, I mean, I got to admit, and I can say this now because he's not on our station, but Michael Savage, if you listen to him, what drove me nuts and annoyed me beyond belief listening to his program is 60% of the time he talked about how terrible San Francisco was. So why do you live there? Why do you live there if it was so terrible? Something just to complain about each and every day. Good golly. Enjoy. That's why I moved to Kansas. I couldn't stand Colorado anymore. I couldn't stand what they were doing. I couldn't stand the new industry that was there that was changing a lot of the communities. I couldn't stand the higher taxes. I couldn't stand the yuppie, hippie, progressive, whatever people that were there, the elite, uppity jerks that were just really rude to everybody no matter where you went. They were invading the upper parts of the mountains instead of just the Denver area, but they were expanding and they were spreading like a virus. And now even up in the tiny little mountain town I grew up in, you couldn't get away from them. I said, done. Moving to Kansas because Kansas is awesome, and that's where I want to live. 316-721-8255. We have some issues at the border that's changing the culture. We have issues with different people in certain states that have allowed that change to happen and are now moving to other places and starting to corrupt those places as well. How do we stop it? And do we embrace our traditional values here in the state? Do we allow the changes to happen little by little? I don't know. California, they're not on our best terms anyways, or we're not on their best terms because they banned the state-funded travel to us because of the LGBTQ issues, apparently. I don't know if that's been reversed now that Governor Laura Kelly, the superhero of Kansas, has actually changed that or not. But, you know, what do you do? Let's go to the phones here, shall we? Line number 1 on the ABC Recycling Hotlines. Good morning. What's your name?
This is Pete.
Hey, good morning, Pete. How we doing?
I'm doing well. You know, first off, on this California thing with people fleeing the state, that's been going on for years. I lived in Salt Lake City for a number of years, and I've seen it firsthand. It's referred to as Californication.
Sure.
And they move in, they drive up home values, they bring their screwed up logic, and it has taken its toll. Salt Lake City now is not what it was 30 years ago.
Sure.
And, it was a fairly conservative area, not so much anymore. And, unfortunately, within the United States, they can move wherever they want. But I can appreciate exactly what you're saying. They've done it to Colorado. They're doing it to Montana and Idaho.
Sure.
They're like a plague. They're a virus.
It is, and the rural areas, Kansas, where we have rural communities, as you mentioned, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho. I mean, these states where we have the agriculture, where we have the farming industry, where we have the rural communities. I mean, those places are being changed because people are moving in from those other areas and then bringing that kind of mindset with them rather than being like, hey, I like that mindset, so I'm going to stay where that is. I mean, it is, and it's a difficult fight. And I'm not saying people shouldn't experience new things. I mean, I welcome people in, and I'm not knocking all Californians here because there are many conservative Californians that have to deal with this, and I feel bad. I mean, I've told this many times on the show, but when we had the podcast on Podbean, the state that had the most amount of downloads of my show for whatever reason was California, and I don't even know anybody in California. So there are people looking for reason and for common sense and are frustrated with the way it's going. But good golly, I mean, if they're leaving with bad intentions, then we don't want them.
Oh, no, I'm with you. As to another point, this terrible bill that the Democrats have dumped on President Trump's desk.
Yes.
Frankly, $1.37 billion for the wall is a joke, and I honestly think President Trump ought to just not sign that bill, declare the national emergency, get his border wall funding, and the hell with the Democrats. I get why he's going to sign it, but I don't agree with it.
Sure.
I mean, you cannot convince a certain segment of this society that the Democrats are not dealing in good faith because they're Kool-Aid drinkers.
Sure.
So I think President Trump should, because there's some really bad stuff in this bill pertaining to limiting how many people he can detain.
Well, it sounds like they removed that part. At least the last I heard, that they had removed that part of the bill from the final negotiations. My understanding, it's still in there. And the whole thing about the chain migration, as far as if anyone can claim, a child can claim someone else to come in. I mean, sure. No, I get it. I get it, Pete. I got to take a break here in a second, so I understand. We're going to get some more details. We'll probably get one of the congressmen on the show next week as well and try and get some more detail on exactly what is in it, because one of the reasons many of the congressmen didn't vote on it is it's $1 trillion in spending, and a lot of it, again, we have no idea where it actually goes. And for $1 trillion for 8 agencies that are currently unfunded, which are the ones that actually are getting shut down if we don't sign the bill, that's a concerning thing to me. Why is it $1 trillion more? We're spending more and more and more and more money, and out of that $1 trillion, we're only spending $1 billion for a wall because they're that greedy, they're that stupid as the Democrats that I'd actually want to compromise and throw money at that. But we can throw money at I don't know what else. We'll get some of the details from one of our congressmen here soon and get their thoughts on it. And whether it's Steve Watkins, whether it's Ron Estes, or whether it's Roger Marshall, we'll try and get him on the show as well. We'll do that probably next week and get some details on this bill because it is important and we need to focus on what exactly it is. So I commend Congressman Roger Marshall for not voting for it there. We'll get the thoughts on some of the other congressmen in our area when we can chat with them and see how they voted and their thoughts on this bill and more. Got to take a break. Your phone calls when we come back as well. 25 minutes past the hour on a free-for-all Friday, baby. Stay here.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Ag News, Mid-America Ag Network. I'm Craig Mead. Good morning. Well, tomorrow, February 16th, begins National FFA Week.
National FFA Week, February 16th through the 23rd, is when FFA chapters all around the country will share what FFA is and how it impacts the members. Hi, I'm Luke O'Leary from the San Luis Obispo FFA chapter, currently serving as the National FFA President. And FFA Week is also an opportunity to tell our FFA advisors how they've made a difference in our lives. FFA develops the next generation of leaders that will change the world. And I encourage you to look for the FFA Week events and activities in your community.
Again, Luke O'Leary, National FFA President. FFA Week begins tomorrow. In other news, soybean harvest is moving along rapidly in South America. Don Roos of U.S. Commodities reports harvest pace and some yield information.
Probably somewhere in the area, 25, 26, 27% harvested on soybeans in Brazil, about twice as fast as normal. We've got Mato Grosso, which if you put in perspective is a little bit in the north, and they're about 50% harvested. The yields, what are the yields? Mato Grosso, that's the fastest state, 50%. Their yield is coming in right at 50 bushels. That's down about 3% from last year, so the yield a little bit less. And that's mainly due to the dry conditions. Remember, it was too wet early. Then it turned dry in January, and so the crop is under a little bit of pressure there.
He says the weather pattern has stabilized in the region compared to earlier in the growing season, which will help harvest along. And he adds the quality of Brazilian soybeans will be competitive with United States soybeans. He adds that what would help the most would be an agreement between the United States and China on trade. Ag News, Mid-America Ag Network.
Right now, you've got plenty to do without worrying about putting additives in your diesel fuel. That's why you'll be happy to hear Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster Premium Diesel Fuel is seasonally enhanced for optimal cold weather performance. So order Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster for the performance and extra protection your farm equipment needs. Because after fueling farms for 80 years, no brand respects Mother Nature more than Cenex.
See the Anthony Co-op in Anthony, Kansas.
Joe and the guys at Carl's Goodyear, well, they are nice guys. That's the only way to describe them. Need new tires? Got you covered. Flat tire fixed? Done. Tune-up? Oil change? Brakes? Exhaust? Radiator? You get the idea. They do almost everything for your vehicle. They will also give you a ride when your car is in the shop. Nice guys who know auto repair, but above that, they know people and treat them like they would want to be treated. Carl's Goodyear, right on the corner of Market and Waterman, 264-5385.
Hey, Mark Walters with Armed American Radio, and I want to tell you about Rob's Gun Tech and Firearms. They're the dealer to buy, sell, trade, and even consign. Budget to high-end custom firearms, ammo, accessories. They've got it all and feature Wilson Combat, Guncrafters Industries, and Nighthawk Custom. Have a request? Work with their in-house gunsmith, find the right solution for you. Rob's Gun Tech offers pricing programs and discounts and proudly gives back to the Veterans Suicide Network. Learn more today at robsguntechandfirearms.com or visit them just east of 159th North on East Kellogg, where they know more than just the price.
Wichita's home for talk radio. This is the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
All right, we got bottom of the hour news coming up. When we come back, we'll shift gears a little bit. I want to get into our legislative update here in Kansas. We had our debate and initial preliminary vote yesterday for the re-amortization of KPERS, and we'll show you the numbers on that one. Plus, we'll talk about some of the other big statewide issues to get into the pass it or axe it of the day. It is a Friday. I want to hear your thoughts as well. Whatever's on your mind, it's time for us to have a little fun today. What do you say? This is The Voice of Reason. Stay here.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center.
President Trump will end the threat of a government shutdown tomorrow. This morning, when he steps into the White House Rose Garden at 10 Eastern Time this morning to sign the compromise budget bill passed and sent to him by Congress last night. And then he's expected to declare a national emergency so he can try to pull money away from the Defense Department to start building a border wall. Joe Johns reports the president's decision to sign the bill without wall money in it was helped along by Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell's switch on that emergency.
Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader, had been opposed to this idea and talked about that publicly, but understanding that the White House was going to need his sign-off in order to get this thing through, McConnell changed his position.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says detailed and intensive talks between Chinese and U.S. trade negotiators in Beijing have led to progress, and another round of negotiation has been added for next week here in Washington. President Trump's deadline to start a new round of tariff hikes if there's no deal comes March 1st. I'm Michael Toscano.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments, clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. Good Friday. Republican legislators in the Sunflower State condemning New York's new law protecting abortion rights with a resolution that would be sent to New York's governor and lawmakers. The Kansas Senate adopted the resolution yesterday on a 27-13 vote. The measure goes next to the House. Kansas abortion opponents are eager to impose new restrictions in their home state, but its legal climate is uncertain. So they're focusing now on New York's law. Kansas has canceled 2 grants to private agencies for services for troubled families and plans to renegotiate the terms of another 4 grants for services to foster children. Governor Laura Kelly announced the actions yesterday that reverse key decisions made by the Department for Children and Families under former Republican Governor Jeff Collier. Kelly said the grant process wasn't open enough and the grants were flawed. Kansas Mid-America Network News.
MJ's Truck Repair at Exit 46 off I-135 in Mound Ridge, America is the largest full-service truck center between Wichita and Salina in central Kansas. Truckers in the know already know, and ag people from miles around know they can turn to MJ's Truck Repair for repair and parts for their tractors, combines, and hay equipment. You construction types, listen up. Skid steers, backhoes, forklifts, bulldozers, and payloaders, MJ's of Mound Ridge is also your construction equipment, parts, and repair headquarters. Find MJ's on the web at mjstruckrepair.com.
Right now, it still gets cold and it's hard to keep things hot. Pretty soon, though, it'll be hot and hard to keep things cold. Be ready with the latest from Yeti at Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Mays. When you want the best in temperature control, one name stands above the rest. And when it comes to Yeti, Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Mays has you covered. From mugs to jugs, coolers to flips, backpacks, and more. Pride Ag Ace Hardware is your Yeti store. The store that takes pride in serving you. Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Mays.
If you're active military, a veteran, or part of our law enforcement community, bring in your active or inactive military ID or an active law enforcement ID to any Riverside Cafe location. Buy 2 meals and a drink and get the second meal of equal or lesser value for free. Again, for any military vets or law enforcement, buy 1 meal and 2 drinks and get the second meal at no charge. Riverside Cafe.
Riverside Cafe, with all 3 locations serving all-day breakfast. In Wichita at 9125 West Central, 13th in Bidding, and in Derby at 824 North Baltimore.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KEQAM. For this morning, snow and freezing drizzle, possibly mixed with sleet before 4 p.m. High around 27, up to a half an inch of new snow and sleet accumulation, wind gusts up to 20 miles an hour, mostly cloudy and 16 for tonight. I'm Amp Harold, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 6:35, it's currently 24 degrees.
Call the Voice of Reason now on the ABC Recycling phone lines at 721-8255. This is the Big Talker, KQAM. Keeping reason in the world of politics.
But if you're really angry, why in the first place are you not frustrated and angry to the fact that you have to spend $250 to $600 of your own cash to be able to provide resources in the classroom?
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, welcome into it. It's a Friday, Free-for-All Friday, waking you up the best way we do each and every day, advancing conservatism, doing our thing, getting you pumped up, ready for the day, better than a cup of coffee, a shot of espresso, even an energy drink, usually about 96% sure of our gender identification on a daily basis. I don't know. Sometimes, though, you just have that questioning thoughts, right? Yeah. Welcome in. 316-721-8255. This half hour of the broadcast brought to you by, Lamar Donuts Coffee Shop. Be a rock star today on your way to work. Pick up a dozen donuts from Lamar's. It's a great way to start each and every single morning. They have 3 locations in town, just south of Rock and K96, one at Tyler and Mays, the other at Harry on the east side of Hillside. Try them. You'll definitely like them. It's Lamar's Donuts and Coffee Shop, online at lamars.com. Today's the perfect day to do it because it is Friday, and I know that you need your get-go. As a reminder, by the way, I will be out Monday and Tuesday next week, as I'm actually going to try and take a couple vacation days. It's a very difficult thing at times. It's just busy, and I just got a lot of stuff to do. But I'm going to try and take a couple of vacation days Monday and Tuesday next week. Monday, we're going to have Sedgwick County Commissioner Jim Howell fill in for the program, as he does on occasion. I really appreciate it because he does a great job. On Tuesday, we're going to have Rodney Wren. He is the debate coach at Wichita Collegiate, and he's a great one to also break down some of the issues going on today as well. So we appreciate him doing that. Both do a fantastic job, and look forward to hearing from them on Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday next week. I'll be back on Wednesday ready to rock and roll, and hopefully with a breath of fresh air, and, hey, feeling ready to do it all over again. What do you say? Open lines to you at 316-721-8255. Let's go right to them, shall we? And we'll get into some of our state legislative updates as well. But line number 1, good morning. What's your name?
Scott.
Hey, good morning, Scott. What's happening?
Well, this is Black History. I wanted to talk about Black History here a little bit. I wanted to deal with people black people having to deal with the haters, you know. See, in Africa, it was the original human being. It's the origin of civilization. And, you know, they did all that without killing millions of people, you know, something that nobody else can claim that they've done. Well, you know, years later, when, you know, invaders came into Africa and they started trying to take over everything, they found out that Africa was the origin of the civilization. They tried to hide that from their own people. So to do that, they started telling wild stories and lies about black people. And they did that all the same while they could justify why they were stealing all the African resources and people. Well, you know, one of the things about that is that when the invaders, when they spread these ideas that black was bad, that was their idea of saying, well, black is bad, black people is bad, and so they were just putting out all this propaganda. Like today in the media, you'll see, well, hey, there's always a blonde or blue-eyed somebody there who, just like Hitler had it, and he'll say, okay, well, this is what is the superior person, even though you can't get a scientist in the world to say that, because they know that those genes are recessive compared to black.
Sure.
But they're doing that to make money on anybody else who's not that, because there's very few people that are blonde and blue-eyed.
Sure.
So
well, here's what I'd say to that, and it's sad that this has happened in history, and unfortunately it has, but it's happened to many different races all throughout the existence of mankind, all the way back during the Egyptian times.
But let me say this, that in the Americas, you had nobody who had more laws against them than black people. Matter of fact, even today, they're still going up against black people. I think they did in New York, they just stopped that stop and frisk. Most of those people were getting stopped were black people. So, there's always been laws. There are probably still laws on the book about going through certain towns. They used to have these sundown towns where if you were black, if you went through there, they caught you there after sundown, they would, lynch you, basically.
Well, yeah, I don't know if there's I doubt that there's any of those laws still in the books in today's times. But my point is though is that this has happened, unfortunately, and it's sad throughout history. The Egyptians did the same thing to the Jews. The Nazis did the same things to the Jews.
That's a fairy tale too, because there's no evidence, according to Ben Gurion University, that's the top Jewish university in the Americas. They never said that there were any Jewish people in Egypt that were persecuted or enslaved. They said.
Well, they had the. Wait, say that again. There were no Jews down there that were enslaved, because I'm pretty sure that was wasn't that the whole story of like Moses freeing his people out of there?
Okay, listen what I'm telling you. I'm telling you, Ben Gurion University, that's in Canada.
Sure.
That's the top Jewish university in the Americas. It said that was a myth.
So the Moses story never happened.
There was no Jewish people in Egypt being persecuted or enslaved. No, that did not happen according to them. And they're the top Jewish university in the Americas.
Well, I'd like to see that, so that's kind of interesting. But okay, so let's go down the road a little bit. Let's go to World War II. Let's go to the British that thought that the Irish were absolute pigs, and they tried to breed them out. They tried to say that if you were Irish, then you were the scum of the earth, and they tried to eliminate them off the face of the. There have been there's been controllers, and there's been dictators, and there have been colonists throughout mankind as they've tried to spread and control. The Roman Empire did the same thing to all the other different, to the Gauls and the Bretons and everybody else at that time as well. There's always been the society that said we're going to dominate, and the mass media has been at that time was those other people are evil, they're uncivilized, and we need to control them, we need to take them over, we need to eliminate them, whatever the case was at the time.
But don't forget about stealing the resources.
Well, sure, and that's happened all throughout history. So, I love the fact that we learn the history and we understand it. And you're right that the blacks in Africa
and even about the fact that racism played a major part of this. When it came to black people, and like I said, that's why even today you're looking at in a dictionary, you'll see the word black. They always have some negativities in that. You see the word white in the dictionary, you'll see a lot of positives.
Right. No, I agree. I don't deny that it didn't happen. My point is, though, is that it's happened to so many other races as well. We need to learn about all of it, but I don't like...
Let me say this, that when you have everything taken from you, your family, your culture, your language, nobody else, and your humanity, nobody else ever had that happen.
The Native Americans did.
No, because you got a Native American, he knows he's a Cherokee, he knows
the Asians did.
He knows he's a Blackfoot. Black people in America don't know where their people are.
The Asians did the same thing. They were enslaved, especially during the pre-Civil War time when we were doing the Western expansion and building the railroads, and they were absolute slaves. This has happened.
Wait a minute now. Chinese came over here to help build the railroad. I'll grant you that, but I'm just saying they didn't enslave them to do that.
Yeah, they kind of did.
They got paid.
Yeah, well, they were
working They didn't get paid.
They got paid, but they got paid just enough to where they couldn't move or move up or do anything else, and they were kind of stuck there. Scott, I appreciate the call. I want to get to some other phone calls here, but I love the history, and I'm really glad that you bring it up because it is Black History Month, and we want to learn, different things that have happened in the past because it is important to learn about history. My point is, though, is that it's happened to so many other people as well. It's not just like a unique thing that's only happened to black people in history. It's happened to the Native Americans. It's happened to the Asians. It's happened to the Jewish communities. It's happened to the Irish. It's happened to the Mongols and the Chinese. It's happened all over the world because we always have had this idea in the mindset of mankind of expansion and domination before America. Now, America, we did kind of control the Native Americans when we did our Western expansion and the Manifest Destiny, but we're not an empire. We're not trying to control and dominate other people, and that was one thing that was unique about the United States. And yes, it was a travesty and terrible what's happened to different communities in the past that are now still here in the United States, but it's not unique only to them. It's unique in many ways, but in the idea of controlling and enslaving, we still have slaves in the Middle East right now. Christians are being persecuted by Muslims in the Middle East right now to where they're being beat, they're being stoned, they're being murdered, they're being beheaded. Jews, gays are being what was the story a year or so ago? The gay that was beat to a pulp, tied to a chair, and thrown off a 5-story building. Come on. That's not happening to people in America anymore. That's not happening any longer. Did it? Yeah. Was it a terrible travesty? Absolutely it was. But it's not a unique thing. So I'm glad we learned the history of it, but I don't want it to be the woe me because that was so unique and so terrible to just that culture, because that's not the case. It's happened to any other. That's why I say the systematic racism, this idea of racism in society is BS, because it's happened to so many others in history as well, to not just one group. It's happened since the very beginning of a division when one culture met another culture and said, hey, you're weaker than us, so therefore we're going to dominate you. We're going to take over your lands. We're going to slaughter your villages. We're going to enslave you to do whatever. Yes, there were slaves in Egypt building all those pyramids because that's what happened, whether they were the Jews or whatever you want to call them, but that did happen. And all the way up to now, they're still happening like that in different parts of the world. So I appreciate the call, Scott. I don't want to minimize what has gone on in the past, but I do want to just be like, hey, that's not the full story here, and that's not everybody. Everybody's not isolated to just that terrible thing that's happened to them. So I appreciate it. Let's go back to the phones here, shall we? Line number 2. Good morning. What's your name?
Morning, this is Bruce.
Hey, Bruce. How we doing, sir?
Doing good. How are you?
Hey, living the dream every day.
Hey, just a couple of thoughts. One, this whole racism thing is a culturalism issue. It's not a racism issue. If we were truly different races, then a black man would not be able to donate a kidney to a white man, or a white man donate a heart to from his cadaver to a black woman or something like that. It has nothing to do with race. It has to do with culture.
Sure.
Okay. Geneticists have interestingly proven that the whole homogeny of the races probably started out with a race more akin to Indian, or in like Hindu Indian, a light tan. But as the people spread apart from the original areas, the inbreeding of the people started making one race predominant, or one skin color predominant. Okay, so that was an interesting thing on genetics that you can find. But my personal opinion is that any black person today ought to be on their knees thanking God that their ancestors were slaves and brought to this country. Yeah, they had a rough time, but look where they live now and the opportunities they have now. They could still be living in, some African country where you got Muslims that are still enslaving them today and still killing them today if they don't become Muslim.
Well, yeah,
So,
there's still civil wars. Sure. I mean, there's still civil wars with different tribes in Africa right now. You're right. I mean, there's the expansion still of the Muslim communities that are trying to enslave. I mean, you see what's going on in South Africa right now with the genocide that's going on there. I mean, there's terrible things happening. So, I mean, that's an odd way to look at it. You're right. Is, well, you should be thankful, the slaves came over, because I don't want anybody to be enslaved. I don't want anybody to be persecuted. But, I mean, now, because rightfully so, Republicans and conservative values have fought to free slaves, to end segregation, to bring equality to the nation, and we fought to try and make everybody equal, and that's a good thing, and I think that we can continue to make that better in society and be able to use by that influence, by example, to other parts of the world as well, and we need to continue to keep working on that. So, Bruce, I appreciate that very much. I want to sneak in another phone call here before we take a break. Line number 3 on the ABC Recycling Hotlines. Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Eddie.
Good morning, Eddie. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm just fine. I'm just wondering why can't people just look in the mirror and say, this is who I am, this is what I am, and be happy? Why go through life not being happy with what you are, or et cetera, like that? I've always been happy with what I am, and although I've had difficulties in my life, I've always been happy. I mean, why spend one day or 1 week wishing you were another color or feeling sorry for yourself? That's the biggest bunch of bull crap I've ever heard, Andy.
Sure. Well, I agree. Now, I do also like the idea that we look at the history of, I don't know that we necessarily need like an Asian History Month, a Black History Month, a this History Month, but I think it should just be known that we learn the history of different parts of the world that have come to the United States and how they've come here and what they've gone through. And I think we should learn some of that stuff, but I don't like it to go to we're an isolated victim type of culture, because that's just not the case. You're right. We should just be, you're not even just a skin color, but you're this heritage, you're Irish or you're German, that apparently today that's considered white, but just a few years ago, Irish weren't even considered white people because they were just as dirty as the low lives of the slaves and everything else. I mean, that's the way it was. Nowadays, that has changed a little bit, but it shouldn't be that stuff. You're right. You should just be proud of who you are and enjoy your culture and embrace your culture, and then at the same time go about your day and work and be successful as an individual. Your culture is part of you, but that's not everything you are. That's not the only thing you are. You are an individual. You're a human being, and you need to look at yourself as a human being, not just part of that culture, and that's it.
Yes. Oh, you're a beautiful person. Andy,
yes.
Okay. Next hour, vote yes for the wall. I'll get my 55 miles now, then I'm going to go for more. I'm not going to. If I can get 55 now, I'm going to go for more. Go for more. Go for more. Continue. In other words, if I can take 55 miles from you, beautiful right now. Then I'm going to take another 155 miles maybe in a couple of months.
So do you like the idea of it? Because the question is going to be for the pastor, actually, do you support the idea of him signing the executive order for the national crisis as he says he will do? Do you support that
yes,
idea?
Absolutely.
All right.
And, hey, by the way,
yes.
I'm glad you went back to your conventional over-the-head earphones.
Yeah? Is that a little bit better?
I don't want to hurt your feelings, but it was comical the way you're trying to figure out how to put those damn earplugs in.
Oh, man. Well, the cord was just too short, so I couldn't turn my head, and it was driving me nuts, and it was sticking to the back. And I like my traditional radio thing, even though we're on TV. I like my traditional radio headset. I feel more like radio-ish because I'm a radio guy. So, yeah, I feel more comfortable. That's why I think it's going to stay that way for a while.
Anyway, when you first came on, I thought to myself, what in the hell's wrong with Andy? Did he get a... He looked like he had a damn mohawk. I thought, well, that wife of his sure had an influence on him.
Yeah, that's right. I probably had an influence on her and be like, hey, you need to shave my head into a mohawk. That's all right. Eddie, I love it, my friend. Happy Friday to you. Appreciate the phone call very much. Got to take a break, wrapping up hour number 1. We'll sneak in some legislative updates when we come back. The KPERS amortization vote was yesterday to the preliminary vote, and we'll see how well that one went. The media not too happy about that, which means it's probably good news, right? We'll do that when we come back. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Market update, Mid-America Ag Network. Kind of a tough day across our futures markets when it comes to corn, wheat, and soybeans on Thursday. No love on Valentine's Day for the grains and soybeans. March corn finished to down 4 at 374 3/4. May down 3 3/4 at 383. March Kansas City wheat down 12.5 at 481.5. May Kansas City wheat down 12 1/4 at 488 1/4. So really kind of a tough day for corn and Kansas City wheat. Wasn't any better day for Chicago or Minneapolis wheat either. They both finished the day down also. Soybeans took a beating. March beans at 903.5, down 13. May beans were at 917.75, also down 13. Double-digit losses in each of the later months. March soybean meal is down $4.60 at 305.50. May down $4.60 at 309.60. Bean oil was way off too. March down 10 points at 29.89. May bean oil was down 11 points at 30.23. So really kind of an ugly day when it comes to corn, wheat, and soybeans in the futures markets. Livestock started off on the wrong foot. Cattle did, but finished well. Hogs never did get on track. February live cattle up 17 at 126.12. April up 40 at 127.37. Each of the later months was, all but a couple were in the green, so things looked pretty good for fat cattle all in all. March feeder cattle up 55 at 144.07. April feeders up 42 at 146.50. Each one of the later months in feeder cattle was up, so a pretty strong day there. So cattle basically performed a turnaround after the open and finished reasonably well. February hogs down a nickel at 55.10. April hogs down 107 at 58.70, so it turned out not to be a good day for hogs. Cotton was up, started off with a little bit of green and got bigger as we went through the day. March cotton finished up 27 points at 70.13. Market updates, Mid-America Ag Network.
In honor of President's Day this month, Rusty Eck Ford is rolling out a presidential offer. Put a Washington quarter down and get an F-150 truck for only $475 a month. Only at Rusty Eck Ford Proud.
We could call it Barney's Grocery, Barney's Home Medical Supplies, Barney's Diabetes Supply Store, or Barney's Deep Discount Drugs, but we'll stick to the name that Wichitans have been trusting since the 1980s, Barney's Pharmacy at Central and Zoo Boulevard. Open 6 days a week for your shopping and prescription needs, and open 24/7 online at barneysdiscountdrugs.com. And Barney's is your headquarters for Now Vitamins, your Health Mart Pharmacy, and so much more. Barney's Pharmacy, Central and Zoo Boulevard.
Myers Exterior Products.
I can feel that cold, windy old man winter blowing through my rotten windows. I can't go through another winter with these windows. Might as well move outside with this much cold air coming through my house.
Old windows can let out 10 to 25% of your heat during the winter. Call Doug at Myers Exterior Products to get your new energy-efficient windows installed today. Myers Exterior Products, the outside experts.
Call 944-1024. Call 944-1024.
In honor of President's Day this month, Rusty Eck Ford is rolling out a presidential offer. Put a Washington quarter down and get an F-150 truck for only $475 a month. Only at Rusty Eck Ford Proud.
News, weather, and information on local shows. Visit us online at kqamradio.com.
Into the Voice of Reason, wrapping up hour number one. Coming up hour number two, we have our Pass It or Axe It for the day. Also, we'll get into some of the other legislative issues as we don't have a whole lot of time in this one, but let's start it off right now.
Today in Kansas.
All right, I'm ready.
Here it is. Today in Kansas, headline from the Topeka Capital Journal is Oswego Community Hospital announcing its closure because they did not have enough revenue to cover payroll, and they will be closing. The argument the progressives and the media are using, saying that the Medicaid expansion needs to happen because that somehow would have been able to solve these financial issues for many of these hospitals in the area. And one of the three hospitals in Kansas owned by Empower HMS, being the Oswego Community Hospital, announced yesterday it had closed its doors immediately, saying that the revenue has not been enough to cover payroll. As we talk about many of the healthcare issues, and we've talked about some of the benefits and some of the good things happening with, like, the Kansas Farm Bureau coming out with their own private plans, with some of the other group plans that many businesses are trying to do. I'm telling you, healthcare is evolving, and we're going to find ways to solve it and get stuff covered. And whether the hospitals are outdated because some places just don't need big hospitals any longer, whether it's a different type of care or maybe in-home care or whatever the case may be, healthcare's changing and evolving. Do not listen to the media. Do not listen to the progressives. Do not listen to Governor Laura Kelly when she'll use this as an example to say we need to pass Medicaid expansion, and if we don't, then people will die and hospitals will close, and that Republicans don't care about the sick and the poor and whatever else they try and say. And they'll use this as an example of why we need to expand it, because then they could get more money, right? Because that $14 million from the state, that's going to go a really, really far way, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be able to solve all the problems here in Kansas. And then we can ask the federal government to cover 95% of it, too. Yeah. Hey, we'll cover $14 million. You guys cover the rest. It's only going to be close to $200 to $300 million. We'll cover 14 of it. You do the rest of it. What do you say? It's a great kind of balancing. It's kind of like the negotiation with the immigration bill, isn't it? Yeah. We want 250 miles of wall. We give us 55. That's a good compromise. You guys will cover the rest, right? Just raise your taxes. It'll be fine. Hour number 2 of The Voice of Reason coming up. Stay here.
Hi, this is Brian Davis.
And this is Blake Davis.
Check out our everyday low prices on Bud and Bud Light 12-pack bottles
for just $10.99.
And don't forget to stop in Tuesdays for 10% off all beer cases.
Special pricing not available at 31st and Meridian.
Davis Liquor Outlet.
Each store independently owned and operated.
Attention, co-op members. In conjunction with Countryside Motors in Wellington, all co-op members and their families qualify for additional rebates on Chevrolet, Buick, Hustler turf equipment, and Polaris vehicles. This exclusive fleet rebate program is only being offered by Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas. Offers are not being published to the general public. They are available to co-op members in Kansas or Oklahoma. For full details, contact Countryside Motors in Wellington at 620-326-7433 or online at countrysidemotors.net.
Hi, I'm Blake Davis with Davis Liquor Outlet. Check out our special price of just $10.99 on Coors Light and Miller Lite 12-pack bottles.
And don't forget Tuesdays, 10% off full beer cases.
Special pricing excludes 31st and Meridian location.
We are Davis Liquor Outlet.
Each store independently owned and operated.
This is a Steckline communication station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by MJ's Truck Repair of Mound Ridge, Kansas. Sales and service of the big rigs and trailers, plus ag diesel equipment repair on and off the farm.
Good Friday morning. Winter making itself known again in the Sunflower State and here in south central Kansas. Freezing precipitation started falling in western Sedgwick County prior to 6 o'clock. West Wichita, we had freezing rain right around 6 o'clock. No school closures or delays in the immediate Wichita area, with the exception of Conway Springs closing. The winter weather advisory that was issued yesterday does at this point remain in effect until 6 o'clock this evening. A possible mixture of snow, sleet, and freezing rain could add up to potentially slippery road conditions. Sedgwick County authorities have arrested 10 people in connection to a string of burglaries and recovered $170,000 worth of stolen property. The Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office said it received information this week from the Sumner County Sheriff's Office that property was possibly being kept in a storage unit on South George Washington Boulevard. Sedgwick County detectives discovered the storage unit contained property that was taken in multiple burglaries. Cake TV reports 8 cases, including Wichita, Bel Air, Winfield, and Sedgwick County, were listed in a release from the Sheriff's Office. All 10 people arrested were from Sedgwick County. About $70,000 worth of property has been returned to the rightful owners. Authorities are working to identify who the remaining property belongs to. A woman was hospitalized after an early morning shooting in East Wichita shortly after 1 o'clock this morning in the 800 block of South San Pablo Street. Cake TV reports police say the woman was shot while inside a home. No arrests have been made. No other information immediately released. Demonstrators gathered yesterday in front of the Sedgwick County Courthouse, wanting more answers regarding the death of 9-year-old Royale Spencer. The boy was shot last month by an 11-year-old at a Wichita home, and the family is wanting to ensure there were no flaws in the police investigation. From the KGSO KQAM News Desk, I'm Rick Everett. Now with sports, here's Doug Downs.
It will be another tough game for the Kansas State Wildcats tomorrow as Iowa State, the number 23 ranked team in the country, comes to Bramlage for a 3 p.m. tip. Kansas State will still have to do it without Cartier. Head coach Bruce Weber is optimistic he will return before the season's over.
Everything went fine, and we just got to hope that he comes back sooner than later.
The weather will be much better in Arizona, and that's where Shocker Baseball will open up in the Angels College Classic. The Shockers have game 1 of their series today against Grand Canyon. It's a 5 p.m. first pitch. From the Sports Desk, I'm Doug Downs.
Hi, ladies. It's Tiffany talking about my all-time favorite home decorating source, Jabara's Flooring Outlet. You've heard of Jabara's Flooring for years. They have the largest selection of carpet, wood, and all your favorite floor coverings in the state. And right now, they are offering a free Sonic Clean Soft Carpet carpet vacuum with every qualifying carpet purchase. Who doesn't need a new vacuum? Am I right, ladies? So take it from a real shopper, someone who loves a great deal. See Jabara's for your new floors. Like they say, the smartest shoppers shop Jabara's. 17th and North Broadway, Wichita.
Attention, co-op members. In conjunction with Countryside Motors in Wellington, all co-op members and their families qualify for additional rebates on Chevrolet, Buick, Hustler turf equipment, and Polaris vehicles. This exclusive fleet rebate program is only being offered by Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas. Offers are not being published to the general public. They are available to co-op members in Kansas or Oklahoma. For full details, contact Countryside Motors in Wellington at 620-326-7433 or online at countrysidemotors.net.
If you plant row crops, then now's the time to get signed up for crop insurance with P&B Insurance. Crop insurance is all they do. Ron and Dan Pilecki have years of experience, unlimited knowledge, and useful resources. They can help you determine what coverage is best for your farm. Insurance can never replace what a good crop will produce, but with today's prices and environment, you better insure with the best because nothing can afford to be lost. The deadline sign-up is March 15th. P&B Insurance in Wichita, 1-800-722-9525.
Now back to the KQAM News Desk.
President Trump will end the threat of a government shutdown tomorrow. This morning, when he steps into the White House Rose Garden at 10 Eastern Time this morning to sign the compromise budget bill passed and sent to him by Congress last night. And then he's expected to declare a national emergency so he can try to pull money away from the Defense Department to start building a border wall. Joe Johns reports the president's decision to sign the bill without wall money in it was helped along by Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell's switch on that emergency.
Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader, had been opposed to this idea and talked about that publicly, but understanding that the White House was going to need his sign-off in order to get this thing through, McConnell changed his position.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says detailed and intensive talks between Chinese and U.S. trade negotiators in Beijing have led to progress, and another round of negotiation has been added for next week here in Washington. President Trump's deadline to start a new round of tariff hikes if there's no deal comes March 1st. I'm Michael Toscano.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Derby Mattress. No dancing animals, no gimmicks. Your locally owned hometown mattress store at 105 South Baltimore in Derby.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, snow and freezing drizzle, possibly mixed with sleet before 4 p.m. High around 27, up to a half an inch of new snow and sleet accumulation, wind gusts up to 20 miles an hour, mostly cloudy and 16 for tonight. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 7:06, it's currently 24 degrees.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Join me live afternoons at 5 right here on the Big Talker, AM 1480, 102.5 FM KQAM.
It's time for Reason.
Everybody has to struggle. There's always a hurdle. They're not born divisive. They're not born racist. They're not born with hate in their hearts for prejudice against another skin color or a gender or whatever. They're not born with this idea that the world sucks and that there's inequality in the world and that I can't get ahead in life. They only think that because they're told that.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. Hour number 2 of the Voice of Reason, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas on the Big Talker. 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. We are simulcasting on TV as well. We are rocking it on YouTube Live. Go to youtube.com, find KQAM Radio. The way you do each and every day, subscribe to the page, watch us live, leave the comments, watch all the podcasts. Doesn't matter. Welcome into it today on a Friday. Yes, let's make it a free-for-all Friday. Come on. We love today. We do it every single day, and we want to hear from you on whatever's on your mind, bothering you, troubling you. Let's make it happen. Let's do the thing, baby. Come on. Let's do it. All right. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. If you want to jump on the ABC Recycling hotlines, let's do it. Let's get your thoughts on this half hour of the broadcast brought to you by Countryside Motors. It's a short drive down the turnpike for big savings. Yeah, make sure to check out the Buick, Chevy, Cars, trucks, along with the Polaris and Hustler ATV and turf equipment. Countryside Motors, Wellington, Kansas, online at countrysidemotors.net. Again, countrysidemotors.net. Appreciate them partnering up with us right here on The Voice of Reason. Before we get to our pass it or axe it for the day, I want to wrap up one more thing with the Kansas update of the day.
Today in Kansas.
All right, I'm ready.
And as you know, we talked with both State Representative Stephen Owens on the program yesterday and State Representative Paul Wagner from the Hutchinson area, and both of them had talked about the reamortization debate that was happening on the House floor as of yesterday, and what it was a debate and a vote for the preliminary vote to see whether it was going to go on to the official vote on Monday. And the big news yesterday was that the Kansas House, according to the Topeka Capital Journal, rejected the KPERS plan as Democrats complain of broken rules. Oh, so sad. They lost, and then they complain about the rules and the way it goes. And they didn't just lose. They lost by a large margin. They had the debate on the floor, which I would have loved to have heard some of that. Didn't get a chance to do so. You can, by the way, do that with the live streaming they have in the state legislative houses now. But I didn't get a chance to listen to it. But the vote that happened yesterday for the reamortization was for the motion to move forward. The nays were 87, the yeas were 36, which means not only did we vote no to reamortize KPERS, we voted with a veto-proof majority to vote no. And that, my friends, is thankful to you for making those phone calls, for talking to your elected officials, and thank you to our legislators for doing it. Even the moderate Republicans, and I'll put one out there, J.C. Moore, voted no against this. That's how bad this was. When even the moderate, wishy-washy Republicans that vote with Democrats 90% of the time voted no for this bill, 36 yeas, and they were all pretty much Democrat progressives, that means that there was something terribly wrong with this bill, and we should be very proud of that. So, well done on that one. We shut that one down, and I don't want to get into it too much right now, but I really want to start thinking about in the back of your mind, the legacy. And I know it's a little early, but the legacy of Governor Laura Kelly and what's going to be left. Because her big savior, I mean, remember, she is the savior of Kansas. She stopped us from the brownback policies. She implemented the progressive values. She is the one where people have spoken, and now she's going to save the state with her super-duper powers that nobody else thought of before. So, how is she going to do it? She's going to do it by going down the same old tricks, by investing more in education, by borrowing money from KPERS and delaying those payments, and then figuring out where we're going to get more money and more revenue and more taxes, because that's the policy plan of what the Democrats have come up with. And this is one major hit from her, on her, because now where else does she have to go? So, I don't know. I don't know where else she's going to find this money. She wants to borrow this money. Now she's going to have to re-look at, we're going to move money around, and what are we going to do here? She's probably going to have to go back to the highway funds because, well, that's what she likes to do. She's going to go to she went to the El Dorado corrections facility and told all the workers there that please don't leave, please don't quit, please don't walk away from this. We're trying to work on this. Is that a crisis? Yeah, that's a crisis we need to address. Why are you thinking about money going other places like, in education and in, like the highway department? Well, you're not really putting money in there, really, but more in the other places, wherever. I don't know where else. Medicaid expansion. Why not? Throw money over there, but we can't actually deal with the issues that are actually currently being underfunded right now. They don't know how to appropriate money the best way that could be done. They don't know how. They just have no concept of it. Because if they did, we wouldn't have 60% of our budget in education. We would have it in, other agencies that actually need to function properly. So they're in the conundrum. Laura Kelly is supposed to be the savior of this, but we should have seen that coming in because she'd only been a state senator for 20 years or something. So, yeah, she's been in the system a little bit, and now all of a sudden she's governor and has all the answers, right? So her plan to reamortize KPERS did not go through. It did not even try and get it even a quote-unquote fair hearing according to the Democrats in the House of Representatives. Got shot down with a supermajority vote of 87 votes, yeas the 36. And now what? Now she's not going to get that $150 million. Uh-oh. Terrible travesty, right? But you know what's going to happen is she's going to come back afterwards and be like, well, that was the money that we needed to invest in education or invest in Medicaid expansion or invest in whatever other program, and we don't have that now. So the only thing we could possibly have to do is raise taxes, and I don't want to raise taxes, and I said I wouldn't raise taxes, but the Republicans wouldn't let us take the money the way we need to, so therefore we have to raise taxes because we need the money. I mean, we just have to have the money. There's no question about it. We just have to have it. We can't cut back on anything. We can't freeze the growth of anything. We have to have the money 110%. So if we can't borrow it from here, then we'll just raise your taxes on you. So, by the way, teachers, I love it because the teachers, they were like, oh, yeah, Laura Kelly, she's going to take care of education. It's going to be a fantastic thing. The teachers then got upset with the re-amortizing of KPERS because then they're not going to get their pension plans the way they should have gotten. Then they're going to come back and say, well, I know that you're not making the salaries you really need to, but we're going to raise your taxes. Raise taxes on you because you need to spend more money, or we need to spend more. As the government, we need to spend more money. You know what's going to happen now because the other bills of lowering the sales tax, they also talked about ways to offset it with other revenue coming in. We have the sales tax issue coming up. We have the gambling issue coming up. We have the sin tax coming up as well, to where we expand the sin tax to where it's not just alcohol and cigarettes and tobacco, but it's also going to be the $3 fee to walk into an adult store or business, and it's also going to be the blocking of different sites on your phone because that's not nannyism at all. And we'll talk about some of that at a later time as well. But they have other ways to try and bring in that revenue because, well, hey, we didn't get the money we wanted. We're going to throw the temper tantrum like the 5-year-old child stampering around on the floor. And how dare we didn't get to save that money. That's money we have to spend. So, therefore, we have to find other alternatives to get that resource. That's our latest legislative update, is it not?
Today in Kansas.
All right, I'm ready. There it is. All right, our other segment we like to do every single Friday. It's already on the Facebook poll. If you go to facebook.com/1480KQAM, it is time for our Pass It or Axe It of the week.
I'm in a nightmare hallucination.
It's time to pass it or axe it.
And we love this segment every single week where you get to decide if you were the voter, if you were the elected official, if you had the voice, would you vote yay or nay on certain issues? And we do it every single week. This week, we're going to give a random drawing away from one of the callers to get a pair of the Metallica tickets coming up March 4th at Intrust Bank Arena. Kind of a big deal. So one of the lucky winners that's going to call in is going to get that one. But you can also leave a message on the YouTube page. You can email me, Andy@KQAMradio.com, or do the poll on Facebook, Facebook.com, and either the KQAM page, the Voice of Reason page, or my personal page as well. You can vote on that one as it is. Here is the question of the day. As you know, yesterday, President Donald Trump said that he would sign the budget deal and the border security deal that was presented to him with the 55 miles of the border fence, along with the $1.3 billion to fund that. But he also said that he would be declaring that state of a national emergency. So the question is, do you support that move or do you not? Would you vote to support that move to pass the budget bill and to sign the national security issue, a national security crisis, or would you not? And there's getting heat from both sides as Democrats are saying, well, we're going to stop it in court, and now this is going to lead to other issues. Nancy Pelosi warned that if he signs the executive order in this sense to declare an emergency, then they're going to use the same thing with a Democrat president to impose gun control, which is about the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because, again, if you actually read the document you're supposed to be defending each and every day called the Constitution, we have something protecting the rights to guns, while we also have the duty of the government to fund immigration problems and immigration issues and foreign policy and people coming in and out of the country, which means we have every right to fund that. And we also have every right to, by the way, use guns. So not sure how they have the right to do that as a national emergency, but it's a threat. And now we know where they stand, and we know how fringe they actually are on the issue because they are absolutely angry the fact that he's going to do this. And it will be held up in court a little bit, but we may go through. He's already started some of the construction of the wall. So I want to hear from you. 316-721-8255. Is this a good deal? Is it a bad deal? He held off as long as he could to not sign the national emergency, the executive order, and now does he look like he's in the wrong because he's waited too long, so therefore it's not really an emergency? And that's the way it's going to be portrayed by the public and by the media? Or does he look like he's in the right because he gave them the opportunity, they failed miserably, and now he's just got to take the matter into his own hands because he's fulfilling the campaign promise and doing what needs to be done. Your thoughts on it, 316-721-8255. Let's go to the phones, shall we? The ABC Recycling Hotlines. Line number 1. Good morning. What's your name?
Hey, this is Kyle.
Kyle, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. And yourself?
Hey, living the dream every day. What do you think? Pass it or axe it?
Well, you got to pass it to be able to see what's in it, right?
Well, there you go. You got to pass it. See what now. That's the other issue, that this is a $1 trillion budget bill that we have no idea what else is being funded in this bill because it just was presented like 2 days ago. So that's another issue that we should be maybe a little concerned about.
That's correct. I mean, that's you got to believe the broken record.
Yeah, well, that's true. So do you like the idea of the executive order?
I do. I think that was Trump's plan all along.
Just wait till the very end and make them look foolish for not actually doing their job.
Well, 2020 Trump.
Hey, 2020 Trump. There we are. Very good. I like that, Kyle. Hey, appreciate the call, my friend, very much. 316-721-8255. We got the pass it on that one. We had a caller from the last hour, Eddie, that said he approves and passes it as well. Going to the Facebook, we have 1 pass it on there and 3 axing it, not liking it there. So right now we're tied 3-3 right off the bat. We'll take a break. We'll get your phone calls. Come back. Get your thoughts on our pass it or axe it of the day. Do you support the move by President Trump to sign the budget bill along with signing the executive order for the national security? Good idea, bad idea? Should it be done one way or the other? Both ways? We'll get your thoughts when we come back. This is The Voice of Reason on a Friday.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Ag News, Mid-America Ag Network. I'm Craig Mead. Good morning. Happy Valentine's Day. President Trump says he may be willing to extend trade talks with China if there is real progress, but only for a short time. It's a deal both President Trump and China's President Xi Jinping want, one between the world's 2 biggest economies, one that would end a punishing trade war that's taken a big bite out of the U.S. soybean and pork sales to China. So President Trump says he's willing to give it more time if there's no breakthrough by a March 1st deadline.
The 10% or $200 billion goes up to 25% on March 1st. And so far, I've said don't do that. Now, if we're close to a deal where we think we can make a real deal and it's going to get done, I could see myself letting that slide for a little while. But generally speaking, I'm not inclined to do that.
American Farm Bureau Trade Advisor Dave Salmonson suggests talks this week in Beijing could be a prelude to further negotiations.
Or is this a setup for future talks, which isn't bad? They keep going. These are difficult issues. If in the meantime we can get some more purchases, we can roll back some of the tariffs, we can get to a more normal, or what we were used to having, considering a normal trade environment with China, but still talk about these other issues. That certainly, as was done in December, that could definitely be extended.
That would give more time to discuss the real deal issues of ending alleged Chinese theft of United States intellectual property and forced technology transfer from U.S. firms doing business in China. China's recent goodwill buys of U.S. soybeans have helped, but they don't quite make up for huge export losses so far and won't bring about a final Trump-Xi summit until Beijing commits to long-resisted structural changes in the agreements between the 2 countries. President Trump says he may be willing to give the trade talks a bit more time. Ag News, Mid-America Ag Network.
You've seen the hunger, the hustle, the victories, and the defeats. But one thing you'll never see, this team backing down. It's time to rise up, be a part of the uprising on the K-State Sports Network, powered by Learfield.
K-State basketball on the Big Talker KQAM, brought to you by Shire Graphics, Toppers Plus, Champ Sports Bar and Grill, EMC Insurance, Ray Roofing, Pizza John's, and Davis Liquor Outlet.
Coming spring 2019.
Hail.
Ouch. Oh.
Wind. Freezing temperatures. Tornadoes. That's mayhem.
Hi, I'm Mark Collier, your local Allstate agent. We're your insurance agency interested in doing what's best for you. Before mayhem strikes, call us at our Goddard office, 316-413-4014, and find us on Facebook at Collier Allstate. Are you in good hands?
It's an inventory reduction blowout sale at Derby Mattress. Sharon at Derby Mattress says the Serta models from last year have to go. to make room for new inventory arriving soon. Drastic reductions in last year's Serta models and floor models that need to move. Derby Mattress at 105 South Baltimore in Derby, home of hassle-free mattress shopping, locally owned and family owned. Derby Mattress.
Call the Voice of Reason now on the ABC Recycling phone lines at 721-8255. This is The Big Talker, KQAM.
I love how the Democrats know exactly what button to push, what trigger to try and trigger Republicans and get them all riled up and fired up. And by saying, yeah, if he declares the national emergency, then we're going to do the same thing with a Democrat, and we're going to do it with your gun control because, well, that's an emergency as well. If we could save one life, by getting rid of the guns, and we're going to do so. And that's the important issue. Now, I'd like to remind you, by the way, it is time for our Pass It or Exit of the week.
I'm in a nightmare hallucination.
It's time to pass it or exit.
There it is, our Pass It or Exit every week, brought to you by the Spectacle Shop, KRSpecs.com. KRSpecs.com, also at 306 North Rock Road. Go and check them out. We appreciate them allowing us to do this each and every week. We have a random listener and caller that will chime in on the Pass It or Exit. Going to get a pair of Metallica tickets coming up March 4th at Intrust Bank Arena. Metallica, kind of a big deal in town. That one's going to be a sold-out, really big, fun deal. So get ready. We'll give a pair of tickets so that away at the end of the hour. Here's the think about. First off, the Democrats very angry, and when they lash out, it's kind of an emotional response. And, hey, you do this, we're going to do the same thing to you, but we're going to take away your guns. Obviously not understanding the Constitution in any way, shape, or form because, well, they have no idea what they actually swore on when they actually got sworn into office. They don't know about the whole, Constitution thing. They're not aware of the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. There's no other clauses to that, no other stipulations. There's no other, guidelines to that saying, well, only if you pass a background check, only if you don't use an assault rifle, only if you don't do this, or only if you don't do that. No, you have the right to keep and bear arms. Very simple. So that, of course, is the first issue. Number two, though, I don't know if you're aware or not, but anybody know how many national emergencies that were signed by former presidents? Just out of curiosity. And how this has been abused already in the past. No, I'm not saying this is an abuse because I support this, and I think he played this beautifully, waiting till the very end, giving an opportunity, going out multiple times and saying, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. It's Congress needs to deal with it. Congress needs to do their job because one of the duties of the federal government is to do foreign policy and immigration control. That's the duty by the Constitution given to the federal government. And if you don't do that, then you're violating the Constitution, and we're going to have to deal with it appropriately from our hand. Use the national defense money, borrow money there, and then apply it towards the wall. Simple enough. Instead of, we could spend the money instead of hiring troops to be at the border, we could do it to actually build a wall. And then you don't need as many troops. And then the regular border security can actually handle the issue. But show of hands, how many people actually understand how many national emergencies were declared by former presidents? Bill Clinton signed 17 of them. I don't even know what they are. I don't know what they were at the time. George W. Bush signed 13 of them. Obama signed 12 national emergencies. And you want to talk about an abuse? Obama signed a national emergency when the swine flu was going through, and 12 people in the country died from the swine flu. 12 people in the country died from the swine flu. National emergency. Got to. You remember that? That was the one that I actually do remember. I don't know what the other ones were. I know that he signed some executive orders making it easier to declare a national emergency, and we were very concerned about that at the time. So he actually expanded upon it from a bill that was already done from, I believe, during the LBJ times. Don't quote me on that one, but I think it was around that time. But we're just pretty much reinforcing that bill with an executive order saying that it was easier to declare a national emergency when the time was needed for that. So it's been going on for years already. But when 12 people die of the swine flu and President Barack Obama signs a national emergency, do you think that when thousands of people or hundreds of people are dying in the country based on human trafficking or murdering from gangs that are here illegally, or people are coming in illegally, just by that fact by itself, regardless of guns or human trafficking or drugs or anything else coming into the country, or potential terrorists or diseases or whatever else could be, the fact that people walked across the border when they were not supposed to would be, in my mind, in my opinion, a national emergency. And I think that's a little bit more severe than 12 people dying from the swine flu. I'm just saying. Now, I get the fear of, there's a disease, a crazy disease. I don't know if you saw or not, but the swine flu potentially could be back. And now there's what they're calling a zombie disease for deer, where deer are like getting all crazy and like staring off into nothing and like just zoning out. And then they like starve themselves where you can see their rib cages. And it's a really weird thing. And they say it's kind of similar to the swine flu, but now it could be transferable to humans. And now deer are like walking zombies. And I told you the zombie apocalypse was going to happen. Didn't say it was going to be just humans, but the zombie apocalypse apparently is going to happen, and it's going to start off with deer. So, I don't know, maybe we should sign a national emergency for the new swine flu called the deer zombie disease. Why not? But I think, again, the more pertinent issue that we need to be worried about would be something like this, with the border security, with the illegal immigrants, with the money coming in, the drugs, the guns, the human trafficking, whatever, the gangs. That is a crisis, and if you do not think it's a crisis, then you obviously don't care much about the safety or security of the nation. I'm just saying. Your thoughts, pass it or exit, 316-721-8255. More coming in for the votes on Facebook as we have, actually, it's Duke and back and forth, 5-5 right now for the pass it or the exit. Right now, we're sitting at about 8-7. Passing it's winning by one vote. I want to get your thoughts. The question is, do you support the signing of the budget bill, which I think is a hard pill to swallow for many Republicans because it is a $1 trillion budget that we don't know what's in it. It has very few compromises on our side favorable to immigration policy, and it falls more in line with them. Do you support the $1 trillion budget President Trump will sign? And the second part of it is, do you support the executive order that he's signing on top of that to finish the funding for the wall and the border security? Your thoughts on that when we come back. We got some calls on the line. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We'll get to you as soon as we come back as we continue our Pass It or Exit for the week on a Friday. It's a free-for-all Friday. Happy Friday. Let's get you ready to go for the day, ready for a weekend. It's going to be a fun one right here on The Voice of Reason.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center.
The White House says President Trump will declare a national emergency to obtain money to build a border wall. Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy says Trump would be perfectly within his rights to do so.
In this case, we have a law that Congress passed that does give the president some significant authority on top of his constitutional authority to declare an emergency.
Congress approved a border security compromise. Trump is expected to sign the bill later this morning.
I've never seen anything like it.
A dumbfounded New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio explains Amazon's decision to pull out of the Big Apple after the city thought they had a deal.
They chose New York City. We were keeping the agreement. Guess what? Some community activists wanted to see something else.
Criticism over the company's anti-union stance was one complaint. Authorities warn of more mudslides today in California. Storms this week have destroyed homes and forced some residents to flee communities scorched by wildfire last year. I'm John Trout.
It's time for some straight talk. It's tax refund time. Hallelujah. What are you going to do with all that glorious extra cash? A new drone? No, it'll end up in the tree. Here's a better plan. Try Straight Talk Wireless and get 25 gigs of high-speed data for just $45 a month. All on America's best 4G LTE network. Plus, save up to $200 on a Samsung Galaxy S9 with in-store activation. Straight Talk Wireless.
See terms at straighttalk.com.
New appliances can do wonders for a kitchen. Right now at the Home Depot, they'll also do wonders for a kitchen budget with up to 30% off appliance special buys, like the 4-piece stainless steel Samsung Kitchen Suite, over $2,000 off a fridge, gas range, microwave, dishwasher, all at once, just in time for dinner. Up to 30% off appliance special buys now at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only while supplies last. See store for details. Electric range available at extra cost. Valid through February 27th.
Kansas Mid-America Network News, Good Friday. Winter weather making its way across the Sunflower State again on this Friday, and a handful of closures of schools across the Sunflower State. Many, many delays. Winter weather advisories in effect for much of the state through this evening. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation has arrested a man from Russell on child pornography charges. Yesterday around 11:30 in the morning, special agents from the KBI arrested 54-year-old Kenneth Hurd at his workplace in Hayes. The alleged offenses occurred in Lyons. Cake TV reports Hurd was transported and lodged into the Sedgwick County Jail. The Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office is looking for the owners of a huge amount of stolen items after a tip from Sumner County led to detectives discovering the cache in a Wichita storage unit. Detectives found the stolen property worth an estimated $170,000. Mid-America Network News.
You can't handle the truth.
Hi, this is Phil Martinez at Phil's Coins. At the shop, we talk all the time about honesty and integrity. And in our shop, we've decided that honesty means nothing without integrity. So what I would tell you is that if you didn't bring your coins to Phil's Coins, honestly, you didn't get enough money for what you have. Come see us at Phil's Coins, 9344 West Central, or online at philscoins.com.
For decades, white planters have earned a reputation for boosting yields and profits. Now they've taken a quantum leap forward with the addition of precision planting, world-renowned technology. This is Leroy the Tractor Man from Schmidt & Sons. Did you know that precision planting technology is fully integrated into your equipment straight from the factory? Right now, you can demo the 9800 VE Series planter, which takes the trusted systems white planters have used for years and combines them with precision planting's innovations for an even higher level of performance. It's all designed to give you more speed so you can plant faster while still getting the seed exactly where it needs to be. More accuracy, one seed per space, and seed spacing consistent across the entire width of the planter, and higher yields with real-time data to help you make better decisions. White planters and precision planting. We've combined two proven brands into one fantastic value. Find out more at Schmidt & Sons, your white planter dealer, located in Mount Hope and Winfield, or check us out on the web at schmidtinc.com.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KEQAM. For this morning, snow and freezing drizzle, possibly mixed with sleet before 4 p.m. High around 27, up to a half an inch of new snow and sleet accumulation, wind gusts up to 20 miles an hour, mostly cloudy and 16 for tonight. I'm Amp Harold, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 7:35, it's currently 22 degrees.
This segment of the Voice of Reason on KQAM brought to you by Riverside Cafe, home of the 3-pound burger and hand-cut fries, plus breakfast all day long. 2 Wichita locations and 824 North Baltimore in Derby. Riverside Cafe. Defending the rights of every Kansan.
I'm not being aggressive, I'm being dominant.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
That's kind of what it takes sometimes. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. Great to have you along for the ride today on a Friday. It is a free-for-all Friday, having more fun than what we should each and every day. Coming up in hour number 3, we are going to continue this conversation and get your thoughts on the poll with our Pass It or Ax It. James Thompson will be in studio for the 8 o'clock hour, 8 to 8:30, talking about the executive order and the budget signing. And along with the AOC Green Deal, thought we'd get his thoughts on that one as well. Davis Liquor Outlet will be joining at 8:30, so stay tuned in for them too, wrapping up the program today. Let's go to the phones as we continue on our Pass It or Ax It.
I'm in a nightmare hallucination.
It's time to pass it or ax it.
And it's a two-parter today because I want to get your thoughts on both sides of this, but as the news is, President Donald Trump will be signing the budget bill that's $1 trillion, and that's not the best for the conservative standpoint, not really knowing what's in it, the $1 trillion budget. And out of that $1 trillion, only 55 miles out of the 250 miles of wall requested, only 55 miles will actually be funded. So he said he will be signing the executive order as well. So it's a two-part question for the Pass It or Ax It today, brought to you by the Spectacle Shop, KRSpecs.com. Visit them at 306 North Rock Road. Your thoughts is, do you support the signing of the budget bill? And do you also approve and sign of the executive order that President Trump will be doing here? Let's go to the phone, shall we? Line number 1. Oh, guess they dropped off. All right. Give me a call back. I want to hear from you. We have some more coming in on YouTube as 59 times. You're absolutely right. 59 times since 1976 that presidents have used the executive order. as a president. So it's been used many times before. Again, I don't know why Democrats are going to throw a fit about this one, because it is a bit of a crisis. Even if it's a minor crisis, it's still a crisis in their eyes, because if Barack Obama can sign an executive order and a national crisis for 12 people dying from the swine flu, then that would mean this would be a little bit bigger than that. So don't you dare try and threaten us that you're going to try and take away our rights later because you don't like the fact that Donald Trump's taking this into his own hands. Don't you dare try that. That's about the dumbest thing you can do. I'm telling you, they're going to shoot themselves in the foot come this presidential run 2020. They think it's going to be so easy to beat Donald Trump. They really think it's going to be just a walk in the park, that they're going to walk all over him. People don't like him. Remember, he's got a 52% approval rating right now, and that's higher than really any other president at this point in their presidency. It's a record for approvals of a president. That means he's doing something right, and when he does not let go of issue like this, then it's going to get taken care of. So thanks, you failed miserably. Now we have to deal with it on our own. We're going to do it. That's going to make his base very happy. And it's going to help him go into a 2020 election, along with, it's not even about the politics, though. It's really about the fact that we're doing what we said we were going to do, and we're going to solve a crisis on the border. And it's going to help. So do it. But the big problem is, and I think this is going to be a big stickler, which is why I think as looking at the poll on Facebook, we're getting more axes than passes on here, as we got a few more coming in that way. I think the reasoning is because we have a $1 trillion budget for 8 agencies. That is, we don't know where the money's going. Remember, when we shut the government down, it was because of 8% of the government. It was the FDA, the USDA, the EPA, NASA. It was a few of these agencies that were non-funded. So I guess fund them. But they take $1 trillion? They take $1 trillion? We will get some detail on it. We'll get one of our congressmen from the state, probably Congressman Ron Estes or Roger Marshall, maybe Steve Watkins on the show hopefully next week, and we can get some detail on that. But what's actually in it. But Congressman Roger Marshall said, no, I'm not going to support it. Number one, because 55 miles of the wall is not enough. We needed 250 miles of wall. We got 55, and the bills got worse as we went along. And this is the final bill? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So I give him credit for doing that. I'm curious to see how the other ones voted, and I guess it went through, so it doesn't really matter. But is the $1 trillion a stickler to you, or you're just like, yeah, whatever, it's just normal government? I mean, we just saw the story, what was it, a couple of days ago, that we hit $22 trillion of debt in the country, that it's going to start watching us default on issues. We're going to start having financial troubles. We're just going to print more money, which is going to inflate the value of it, and it's going to be a problem. So the question is, $1 trillion budget that we're signing now, is that going to have any impact on the $22 trillion that we already have? Why do we need to spend so much money? When will we get our finances in order? Is that a stickler to you, or is it worth it for the little bit of money that we're getting for the wall, and then the executive order where we're going to move money from the National Defense Department over to funding for the wall and security down there? Is it appropriate, and is it worth it for you? 316-721-8255. Let's go to the phones here, shall we? Good morning. What's your name?
Doug.
Hey, good morning, Doug. How are we doing, sir?
All right, how are you, Governor?
We are living the dream, my friend.
I'm thinking that I want to axe that one. I don't think he should sign anything until he's had at least a week or so to look through it and see what exactly is in there.
So you're not a fan?
No, I'm not a fan of signing blind bills.
Sure. Now, what about the executive order? Do you like that idea?
I like that idea. I wished he'd have done that a long time ago.
Okay.
Because that's his obligation, and our Constitution is to protect our borders from invaders.
Right.
And there's 10,000 or so of them coming, and that's just no brainer.
Sure. Do you think he looks better by holding off and trying to wait to the last minute, saying, I gave you every opportunity to do it, and you didn't, so now I have to do it myself? I mean, he does look better, I think, at the end of the day because of that.
I do, too.
Sure.
I think he did that on purpose. He knew that was happening. He let it happen to make them look stupid.
Sure.
And it did, but they make yourself look stupid easy enough anyway.
Yeah, it's not very hard, is it?
No, it's not for them. It doesn't seem to be. I just wish one big thing, that they would realize that we're all human beings.
Sure.
We live on this planet. We're all human beings.
Sure.
And we elected them to do a job.
Right.
Do your job and quit the petty bickering about you lost.
Well, and that's what they've done, and that's why they've supported the walls in the past, but now they're not only angry about funding even 55 miles, but now they're threatening to take away guns with a national crisis executive order later if we sign it now, because they're that bitter of the fact that Donald Trump won, and they don't know how to respond. Again, he's won for the last 2 years in office, and they still don't know how to handle this. You'd think they'd be good at it now.
Yeah, that's why we need you to become our governor next time around.
Hey, well, I will.
You know this stuff. Thank you, Eddie.
Hey, thank you. I will have to ponder that one. I appreciate that, Doug, very much. Happy Friday to you, my friend. 316-721-8255. Let's go back to it. Line number 2 on the ABC Recycling Hotlines. Good morning. What's your name?
Hey, it's John the Libertarian.
John the Libertarian. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Andy. Thanks. Axit. I think the budget is garbage. I mean, I'm sure you know how I feel about that. It's way over bloated, and
Sure.
I hate the fact that it's really not articulated very well, and we don't know what we're spending on some of these different departments. But the executive order, I get where he's going, and I understand the rationale. But, you know, a few weeks ago I had some little girls over at my house. My daughter's about the same age as yours, and went down to the basement, and I found them with crayons on my wall.
Sure.
And I was livid, and I took her to the side, and she said, well, little Emily started it. You know, she was the first one. Well, that still doesn't make it right. Yeah, other presidents have done these executive orders and probably abused it. In fact, there's 23 current executive orders still in place that predate President Trump.
Sure.
And so an executive order shouldn't, or not an executive order, a state of emergency,
right?
Excuse me, shouldn't exist. Certainly not past the president, but it should be a very limited amount of time. And it doesn't make it right that others have abused it. I think it would be an abuse, and I just hate.
So you're not a fan of even this one, even with the border security. You don't think it is a crisis enough to sign a national emergency?
Not doing it this way. There's a separation of powers for a reason, and if we can't get Congress to do it, it's not the president's place to force it. It's certainly not with this type of action. And I just fear, I'm not really afraid of an anti-gun state of emergency, but there's any number of other things that could be used in abuse of that state of emergency, and I don't want to set the precedent. If we really want some border security, I don't know that the wall is going to be that effective. A funny poll came out that is like 72% of Republicans supported the wall, and then 68% of those polled said that they could find a way around it if there was a wall and they needed to. So human ingenuity will find ways around that. I think a good solution would be to close some of these 800 military bases we have on foreign soil and put those troops to good use actually defending our borders.
All right. So, okay. So you still want some different types of border security, just the wall's not going to do it, and you'd rather have more people, more manpower down there than anything else. It's an interesting take. So you say exit all across the board, not even with that. Do you think Donald Trump's going to look good in the end of this by doing what he thought needed to be done at the end of the day?
I don't know. I really don't know. In my eyes, no, he won't. I think when it comes to the when it comes to the election, it's going to come down to what his base thinks that how good he looks on this, and they may be in support. So we'll see.
All right. Very interesting. Hey, John, I appreciate it very much, my friend. Happy Friday to you. Some more coming in on the Facebook poll. Again, you can go to facebook.com, find KQAM Radio or the Voice of Reason page, and you can do the poll there as well with our Pass It or Exit, brought to you by the Spectacle Shop, and more coming in. So the Exit's actually taking it now. Not only not a fan of the $1 trillion budget, which is an absurd, and I agree with you on that front, not a good bill at all. We have to vote on it to see what's in it sort of thing, which is a really dumb idea, and we're only supposed to be funding the 8% of the government that's currently unfunded to get through the next budget cycle, and another $1 trillion. I mean, didn't we just do this last year that we were angry about? Why isn't the media focusing on that aspect of it, right? That aspect of the idea that we're passing another bill that goes from now to October that funds 8% of the government at $1 trillion when we're sitting at a $2 trillion budget. If you remember last year when this happened in April or May, we signed a $1 trillion budget to get us through for 6 months. Now, that was for the entire government. That was to keep everything open. Now, that was for the discretionary, not the mandatory spending, because that was already there. But for the discretionary spending, $1 trillion for 6 months of government function. Now we're doing it for, 8 months? 8 months for 8% of the government to stay open, because that's where we are now. To me, that's concerning. And if we have $1 trillion, then why the hell do we not have funding for 250 miles of border wall? So we acknowledge we have money that we're going to spend, but we're not going to spend it in the way we want. And the Republicans think this is a good bill. Mitch McConnell and the establishment Republicans think this is a good bill that we compromised. We worked really hard, and we got 55 miles of border wall. Hooray. So, because we didn't have the money, we didn't have the compromise, we didn't have the other stuff going on. So we should be really proud that we compromised and got 55 miles of a wall, because we don't have the money to fund it in other places. But, we should spend $1 trillion to open up 8% of the government for the next 8 months. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's about the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Give me a break. Let's go back to the phones here, shall we? On our Pass It or Exit line number 3. Good morning. What's your name?
Hi, Andy. This is Jeff.
Jeff, what's going on, my friend? How we doing?
Hey, I just wanted to mention I really appreciate hearing Leo in the bumper music lately.
Yeah. Sneaking that in there a little bit.
That's great. I guess our libertarian friend unfortunately showed us how fickle libertarians can be on these things. I mean, that was really disappointing to hear him say that he didn't even think the wall would even be effective. Like, do you have a house with walls, my friend? They're effective. Walls and fences do work.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever played Age of Empires?
I have, and I love that game. Absolutely. No, you're right. And I that's where I think I do disagree with some of the libertarian aspects. Now, I do agree, and I understand where he's coming from when it comes to the executive order side of it and the separation of powers and how we need to go through the process. I get it. I understand it, but there are those places where, the president has the authority to shift money from the Department of Defense and do something that needs to be taken care of. Again, when Barack Obama signed a national security issue and a national emergency for 12 people dying from the swine flu, but yet we can't see a national crisis because people have died, been murdered from drug lords and from gang members, and we have crime and drugs and human trafficking coming in. If that's not an emergency, I don't know what else is. But 12 people dying from the swine flu, and Barack Obama's got all the prerogative to do that. I mean, to me, that's a double standard there, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And the president absolutely should not sign this. $1 trillion, that's ridiculous. Even this talk of a 250-mile wall, like, I'm sorry, the border's 2,000 miles. What happened to the entire wall? We need $100 billion and fund the whole thing. I mean,
sure.
That's chump change in the budget. It's ridiculous that it's gotten to this point. But, we need to keep pushing on it. You said it. If Donald Trump is going to stand up for it and do everything that he can to pull out all the stops to make it happen, I'm all for that. I think he needs to stand up and not sign this and tell them, look, it's all or nothing. We're all in on this.
Yeah, that's the one point that we want to compromise. We want to find a happy middle ground. But, when we need 250 miles and you come back and say, hey, we did it. We got 55 miles. I mean, to me, that's not a very good compromise. And if that is your compromise negotiation abilities, then we need new leadership because you obviously can't do your job appropriately, right?
Yeah, and as far as the national emergency / executive order, we have the president that's actually charged with defending and protecting our country,
right?
Stopping invasion versus what Nancy Pelosi threatened, some sort of gun control. I mean, so she's going to use that same power to suspend our gun rights, a civil right that's written into the Constitution. I don't think so. That's not going to end well.
Yeah, it's not going to end well, and I agree with the last caller as well. I don't know that would actually happen at all, but it's the emotional response, because it was, you're doing something we don't like, so we know exactly what button to push for you that we would do that you don't like. So that was the emotional response. Whether it actually happened or not, I doubt it, because try it, come and take it sort of thing. Good luck with that. And it's not going to happen, but it was the emotional response of, I don't like what you're doing, so therefore we're not going to we're going to get something that you don't like either. if we end up getting in power. Got to take a break. Appreciate the call very much, Jeff. Appreciate that, and you're in the running here. So as of right now, though, it sounds like the majority of the people on the exit side not liking the signing of the $1 trillion budget and or signing the executive order for the national security crisis. We'll take a break. We'll get the final numbers when we come back. Plus, one of you random callers will get the pair of tickets to Metallica in Trust Bank Arena March 4th. That's coming up here in a couple of weeks, and we'll give that pair of tickets away when we come back. That and more here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network in for Craig Mead. I'm Andy Hoosier, starting off a Friday morning here, and we're seeing kind of mixed across the board when it comes to grains and soybeans. March corn right now up a point to 375 3/4. May corn is up a point right now to 384 even. In July, 1 point up to 391 3/4. Over in the wheat, we're seeing red on this side right now. March wheat is down a half to 506 1/2. May wheat is down a quarter to 510 1/4, while July is sitting 3/4 lower to 512 1/2. KC wheat, we are seeing green here, which is nice. A quarter up to 481 3/4 for March. KC wheat for May is up a quarter to 488 1/2, and July is up a quarter to 496 even. Over in the soybeans, we are seeing mixed here as well. March corn up right now 4 1/4 to 907 3/4. May is sitting 4 points up to 921 3/4, while July 3 3/4 up to 935 1/4. Soybean meal for March right now is up 150 to 307 even. May soybean meal is up 150 to 311.10, and July is up 140 to 315 10 cents. Soybean oil for March in the red, 6 cents lower right now, 29.83 for March. May is sitting 7 cents lower to 30.17, and July is sitting 6 cents lower to 30.51. Over in the livestock, they're not quite on the board yet, but had an interesting day yesterday. In the rest of the markets, we are seeing a little bit mixed, but kind of green in the energy market right now. Crude oil for March is up 37 cents to 54.79. April crude oil is 37 cents higher to 55.15, and May is 35 cents higher to 55.70. Over in the unleaded gas right now, we're seeing 1 cent higher to 152 for March. April, a penny higher to 169, and May, a penny higher to 171. Heating oil, same story, a penny higher to 198 for March. April at 198 as well, just a penny up, and May sitting at 198 as well. Market information, Mid-America Ag Network.
In honor of President's Day this month, Rusty Eck Ford is rolling out a presidential offer. Put a Lincoln penny down and get a Ford Focus for $189 a month, only at Rusty Eck Ford Proud.
Right now, you've got plenty to do without worrying about putting additives in your diesel fuel. That's why you'll be happy to hear Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster Premium Diesel Fuel is seasonally enhanced for optimal cold weather performance. So order Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster for the performance and extra protection your farm equipment needs. Because after fueling farms for 80 years, no brand respects Mother Nature more than Cenex.
In Arkansas City, Kansas, see Two Rivers Co-op.
Hey, Mark Walters with Armed American Radio, and I want to tell you about Rob's Gun Tech and Firearms. They're the dealer to buy, sell, trade, and even consign. Budget to high-end custom firearms, ammo, accessories. They've got it all and feature Wilson Combat, Guncrafters Industries, and Nighthawk Custom. Have a request? Work with their in-house gunsmith, find the right solution for you. Rob's Gun Tech offers pricing programs and discounts and proudly gives back to the Veterans Suicide Network. Learn more today at robsguntechandfirearms.com or visit them just east of 159th North on East Kellogg, where they know more than just the price.
In honor of President's Day this month, Rusty Eck Ford is rolling out a presidential offer. Put a Lincoln penny down and get a Ford Focus for $189 a month, only at Rusty Eck Ford Proud.
We make talk radio big. This is the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
Crank it, baby. Come on. Welcome into the Voice of Reason, wrapping up hour number 2 as we finalize our pass it or ax it of the week.
I'm in a nightmare hallucination.
It's time to pass it or ax it.
There it is, our pass it or ax it every week, brought to you by The Spectacle Shop, 306 North Rock Road, online at krspecs.com. Again, go visit Kent and Roxy at Kent and Roxy Spectacle Shop, 306 North Rock Road, online at krspecs.com. Finalizing it up, if you want to get on there, you can still do a couple of, just for a minute or two, if you want to vote on the Pass It or Ax It poll on Facebook, and it's a dead heat, 6 for Pass It, 6 for Ax It on the Voice of Reason poll there for KQAM. From the callers, we got a couple other emails coming in as well, and for the final tally, we're sitting actually 10-9 for the Passing It, and Passing It supporting it. Now, the big holdup in what we're seeing from some of the comments is not necessarily the executive order national security issue that he's signing for the national crisis, but it's the $1 trillion budget that conservatives and people are upset about on why we need to spend $1 trillion for 8% of the government to reopen, because that's what's unfunded currently right now that caused the government shutdown. 8%. And we're spending $1 trillion. So what else is in there? And again, have we had time to actually look at it? We're going to get one of our congressmen, either Ron Estes or Roger Marshall, maybe Steve Watkins on the show probably next week, hopefully, to get some details of the actual bill on what's actually in it. But President Trump will be signing it, along with doing his own deal as well, moving appropriated funds to the wall. I say, let's take that El Chapo money, my friends, $14 billion, and just make it a really sturdy wall, right? We only needed 5.7. Just double it. Let's do that. Be like, hey, here's your wall. Take that. So we'll get your thoughts on that a little bit later as well. But with the final vote, 10-9 on there, with the Passing It just squeaking through. But I have just as many concerns as you do. As for the tickets for the Metallica giveaway, our random drawing listener, Jeff, congratulations, my friend. You, my friend, got a pair of tickets to Metallica coming to Intrust Bank Arena March 4th. It's going to be a heck of a show. Yeah, buddy. We got your tickets here at the studio. Congratulations, Jeff, on that one. Hour number 3, right around the corner. James Thompson going to be hanging out with us for the first half hour. Davis Liquor Outlet at 8:30. All that and more coming up right here on The Voice of Reason on a free-for-all Friday. Stay here.
Hi, I'm Blake Davis.
And I'm Brian Davis.
Check out our everyday low pricing on Bud and Bud Light 20-pack aluminum bottles, just $17.99.
Special pricing excludes 31st and Meridian.
More coupons online at davisliquoroutlet.com.
Each Davis Liquor Outlet is independently owned and operated.
ABC Recycling is a full-service recycling company with a long-time service to our community. Whether you're an individual or a company that encounters or produces scrap metal, the team at ABC can provide you with an easy and profitable recycling program that's fair and honorable, because that's how they do business. ABC will customize a recycling program that fits your unique needs. Let us make your space cleaner, nicer for the environment, and all with a better bottom line. Visit us just west of Hydraulic and Gilbert or abcrecyclingllc.com.
Hi, I'm Brian Davis.
And I'm Blake Davis.
Inviting you to check out our pricing of 3-liter box wine.
Boda Box and new Barefoot boxes, just $18.99.
And don't forget, Thursday is Wine Day. Save 20% off most wines. We are Davis Liquor Outlet.
Each store independently owned and operated.
This is a Steckline Communications station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita Proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by Phil's Coins, Kansas's largest coin dealer at 9344 West Central. Phil's Coins, buying, selling, and trading with honesty and integrity.
Good Friday morning. Winter making itself known again in the Sunflower State and here in south central Kansas. Freezing precipitation started falling in western Sedgwick County prior to 6 o'clock. The precipitation eventually making its way across the entire county. Only one school closure in the immediate Wichita area this morning, that being Conway Springs. The winter weather advisory that was issued yesterday does at this point remain in effect until 6 o'clock this evening. A possible mixture of snow, sleet, and freezing rain could add up to potentially slippery road conditions. A woman was hospitalized after an early morning shooting in East Wichita shortly after 1 o'clock this morning in the 800 block of South San Pablo Street. Cake TV reports police say the woman was shot while inside a home. No arrests have been made, no other information immediately released. Sedgwick County authorities have arrested 10 people in connection to a string of burglaries and recovered $170,000 worth of stolen property. The Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office said it received information this week from the Sumner County Sheriff's Office that property was possibly being kept in a storage unit on South George Washington Boulevard. Sedgwick County detectives discovered the storage unit contained property that was taken in multiple burglaries. Cake TV reports 8 cases, including Wichita, Bel Air, Winfield, and Sedgwick County, were listed in a release from the sheriff's office. All 10 people arrested were from Sedgwick County. About $70,000 worth of property has been returned to the rightful owners. Authorities are working to identify who the remaining property belongs to. Demonstrators gathered yesterday in front of the Sedgwick County Courthouse, wanting more answers regarding the death of 9-year-old Royale Spencer. The boy was shot last month by an 11-year-old at a Wichita home, and the family is wanting to ensure there were no flaws in the police investigation. From the KGSO KQAM News Desk, I'm Rick Everett. Now with sports, here's Doug Downs.
Similar to both the Wichita men's and women's basketball teams, the Shocker baseball team will be inexperienced when it takes the field this afternoon against Grand Canyon as Shocker baseball gets underway with the Angels Classic. The Shockers have 5 games over the next 5 days. Coach Todd Butler says inexperience and youth has them picked in the league right where they're supposed to be.
We're picked 7th in the league. I thought that was a perfect spot. That's where I would have picked us, because we lost the most players from last year.
For the Shocker basketball team, they will try to make it 5 in a row in conference play. They'll have to do it at a tough place on the road at Cincinnati, a noon tip-off on Sunday. From the Sports Desk, I'm Doug Downs.
Attention, co-op members. In conjunction with Countryside Motors in Wellington, all co-op members and their families qualify for additional rebates on Chevrolet, Buick, Hustler turf equipment, and Polaris vehicles. This exclusive fleet rebate program is only being offered by Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas. Offers are not being published to the general public. They are available to co-op members in Kansas or Oklahoma. For full details, contact Countryside Motors in Wellington at 620-326-7433 or online at countrysidemotors.net.
Whatever your business, count on EMC Insurance, because our business is protecting your business. EMC Insurance Companies has the knowledge and expertise to provide you with the right insurance coverage options. And when you insure your business with EMC, you receive the added value of our free loss control services, no matter the size of your company. Contact your local independent insurance agent and ask about insurance from EMC. In Nashville, call Strong's Insurance at 246-5222.
This is John Sidoric with Heartland Avionics at Augusta Municipal Airport. With a $500 rebate available from the federal government for your ADSB installation, the mad rush is on. And at Heartland Avionics, we have 2 of the most popular brands pre-wired and ready to go, minimizing your aircraft's downtime. Heartland Avionics is also a certified dealer for many other ADSB installation options. Call Heartland Avionics or learn more at iflyaugusta.com.
The latest news from the Big Talker, KQAM.
The White House says President Trump will declare a national emergency to obtain money to build a border wall. Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy says Trump would be perfectly within his rights to do so.
In this case, we have a law that Congress passed that does give the president some significant authority on top of his constitutional authority to declare an emergency.
Congress approved a border security compromise. Trump is expected to sign the bill later this morning.
I've never seen anything like it.
A dumbfounded New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio explains Amazon's decision to pull out of the Big Apple after the city thought they had a deal.
They chose New York City. We were keeping the agreement. Guess what? Some community activists wanted to see something else.
Criticism over the company's anti-union stance was one complaint. Authorities warn of more mudslides today in California. Storms this week have destroyed homes and forced some residents to flee communities scorched by wildfire last year. I'm John Trout.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Hatman Jacks. Amazing headwear for women and men. At the Clock Tower in Delano, Hatman Jacks.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, snow and freezing drizzle, possibly mixed with sleet before 4 p.m. High around 27, up to a half an inch of new snow and sleet accumulation, wind gusts up to 20 miles an hour, mostly cloudy and 16 for tonight. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 8:06, it's currently 22 degrees.
Your home for Wildcat basketball. This is the Big Talker, KQAM. It's time for Reason.
Everybody has to struggle. There's always a hurdle. they're not born divisive. They're not born racist. They're not born with hate in their hearts for prejudice against another skin color or a gender or whatever. They're not born with this idea that the world sucks and that there's inequality in the world and that I can't get ahead in life. They only think that because they're told that.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray.
There it is. Welcome into it.
Get fooled again.
Yeah, baby.
Don't get fooled
It
again.
is hour number 3 of the Voice of Reason, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM, simulcasting on TV, rocking it on YouTube Live. Welcome aboard. It's great to have you along for the ride today. 316-721-8255 on a free-for-all Friday. That's right. Whatever's on your mind, bothering you, troubling you, doesn't really matter. We're open lines, and we want to hear from you today on all the crazy shenanigans in the world because, hey, I'm your political therapist. Let's do it. All right. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. Give us a call on the ABC Recycling Hotlines. This half hour, the broadcast brought to you by Wildwood Cellars. It's more than just buying a bottle of wine. You can learn tips about finding the wine that you like, not the wine you're supposed to like. Right here from nationally acclaimed vineyards here in Kansas, Wildwood Cellars off the Turnpike in Mulvane, also at Maple and Ridge right here in Wichita. Online, wildwoodcellars.com, wildwoodcellars.com, a studio full of individuals. And let's start off with Mr. Rick Everett. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and I'm noticing as we were getting ready to come into the segment, it's dropping balls in Wichita. If you look out at the railing here, there's little sleet balls that are falling right now, so
Yeah.
we've kind of made the transition.
Joy. 60 degrees yesterday.
Yeah.
Snow today,
well,
ice
and
today.
the transition from
Whatever.
freezing rain to this sleet-like product. So maybe this is better. Maybe this will garner some traction in areas.
Maybe it could be.
Our master salesman Seth came in and he made the trek up from southern Wichita this morning and said that he had seen a couple of accidents, one at Seneca and I-235, another right here at 119th and Kellogg. So, take some time, allow some extra distance between you and the person in front of you. Do not use your cruise control, things like that. Just
like use common sense when there's icy roads, crazy.
We're not a TV station, so we can't send 8 people out to photograph and videograph the pavement becoming wet.
No, but I can describe YouTube videos of people acting dumb, which is just as entertaining.
There you go. Special guest you got here this morning.
So we love doing it. We do it every once in a while, but it's time for our debate.
Battle of the Minds.
Okay, here we go, people.
It's the Battle of the Minds right here, and we love having him in studio. James Thompson. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
It's great. First off, we gotta start working on this here. All right, so now I get the cool equipment that when you talk, then I can boom, and now you're on camera.
Hey.
And we can flip it back and forth.
Now I've got to worry about my blocking too.
Well, now I have to figure out how to do it a 3-way.
You're afraid of the vape.
Bounces back. Well, no, we can see that it's kind of like a smoke machine where in the background we just see which makes sense when we're in the middle of the ring. So I guess that works.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, before you get to your debate,
okay,
I have to ask as a journalist, James Thompson, 2-time congressional candidate. So tell me, James, what is the inside? How does the inside of the Greenwood County Jail look?
Wow.
I am a hardened criminal now.
Yes.
I did not pay a speeding ticket, and so, yes, on my way back from my hunting trip that I do every year, I did get pulled over and did get arrested. So
you know what?
That's lots of fun.
The media, it shows that maybe the left-wing media is losing a little of their bias because they threw one of their own under the bus. But at the same time, what kind of hacks me off about this is it's non-news. I mean, if it was Joe Citizen that happened to, you wouldn't even hear about it because it's like non-news. But because it's James Thompson, it becomes news. Now, more importantly, the hitting question that I've had journalists all over Wichita ask me to put you in the crosshairs over was, did you get anything on the hunting trip?
Actually, the I got out there that Saturday night, and so didn't get a chance to even hunt because I got out there Saturday and we came back Sunday. My friends were out there from Thursday through Sunday, but I couldn't go out there because I had other
Did
obligations.
they get anything?
So they got some quail, I think. So
okay.
Basically, they went out there. We call it a hunting trip, and we do a little bit of hunting, but mostly we go out and we shoot off all the new guns that we have.
And camaraderie and all that.
And a lot of drinking.
So, and all you did is come home with a get well card from the judge.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. It was
good times.
It was really good times. Yeah.
Now to get to
you got to see the picture that my friends took of me in front of the jail. Actually, it's them with their Wyatt Earp mustaches and their plastic guns and plastic handcuffs.
See, I was going to bring you a mustache because I didn't know if you actually got to get one or not at the end of the day.
No, my friends, when I was waiting on the bondsman, went to the Dollar General store and got their their plastic guns and everything. My friends are well.
Sounds like a good group of well-humored guys.
They are good-humored guys, and I mean that's you can either laugh or cry about it. And so
now back to the non-story for just a minute. So they pulled you over. They ran a license check. It showed that you were suspended, which you were unaware of. You did the whole in and out process thing, and then you went and immediately took care of the unpaid speeding ticket and got your license reinstated, and all is well.
Yeah, I had actually called down and set the ticket for hearing down in Wichita, but when I called, they didn't tell me that the ticket was suspended. When I found out the hard way, I immediately came back that next day and paid the ticket, got my license reinstated so that there wouldn't be an issue.
Okay, all is well then, Andy. My work here is done.
All is well.
I dub the James Thompson. He's very worthy of standing in the debate position.
Call me Shawshank.
Hey, there we go.
Hey,
that works. Very good. Appreciate that, Rick. And no, the journalistic side coming out. Let's take a quick break, and that way we got some time. When we come back, let's get into some fun discussion. As you know, the executive order or the national security being signed by President Trump today with the crisis, along with the budget bill. We'll get your thoughts on it and what's going on from that side.
That unconstitutional order? Yeah, you bet.
Oh,
we'll
yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll have some fun with that when we come back. Your phone calls as well. This is The Voice of Reason.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, KQAM.
In honor of President's Day this month, Rusty Eck Ford is rolling out a presidential offer. Put a Washington quarter down and get an F-150 truck for only $475 a month. Only at Rusty Eck Ford Proud.
Hi again, everybody. Tony White, Augusta Flight Center. Want to talk about our flight training packages. Private pilot packages starting at just $5,900. Now that'll get you 47 and a half hours in the aircraft, 2.5 hours on our flight training device, 45 hours of instruction, also a free headset and a free home study kit. For more information on this and other flight training options, visit our website at iflyaugusta.com, our Facebook page, or you can call us at 316-733-4080.
In honor of President's Day this month, Rusty Eck Ford is rolling out a presidential offer. Put a Washington quarter down and get an F-150 truck for only $475 a month. Only at Rusty Eck Ford Proud.
The Miller Minute with Dennis Miller.
I want to talk about the president declaring a national emergency vis-a-vis the wall. I know these things are fluid situations as I tape these minutes, but that appears to be the lay of the land right now as I lay this one down. He's going to sign the budget, which gave him a modicum of funds to start building a 5-6 mile section of wall in Texas. I remember thinking, wow, that system must be truly entrenched for a wild man like Trump to take table scraps like this and be mortified in front of the whole country by the likes of Pelosi and Schumer. Now I see attendant to that, he's going to sign the national emergency to build the wall with the military. I was just thinking, Pelosi has already warned that the next president could declare a gun emergency. Listen, if there's a true emergency, we need it. If you're going to start faking emergencies, I don't know that we need it. But I do know this, a wall at the southern border is just a common sense thing for Americans.
That's the minute. I'm Dennis Miller.
36 days. That's how long it takes the average company to find their next hire. Glassdoor can help you quickly find the right job candidate in half the resumes. From 62 million job seekers, Glassdoor only matches you with qualified candidates who have the skills and experience your small business needs to grow. And Glassdoor hires are committed. They're 30% more likely to stay with your business longer. Go to glassdoor.com/hire. Glassdoor. Find the right fit for your business.
If you have hard water, the lime scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate lime scale and other water issues like brown staining, bad odors, and lead with HydroCare water products available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to goodclearwater.com. That's goodclearwater.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. You're listening to your home for local conservative talk, the Big Talker, KQAM.
Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. 17 minutes past the hour. Having some fun today on a Friday, and we're going to continue on with our debate.
I'm ready!
Battle of the Minds.
Okay, here we go, people.
Here it is, and as we have James Thompson in the studio, got to have a little fun with it because you know what? That's what the world's all about, and getting the ideas from both sides of the aisle. So we have the $1 trillion budget being signed for the 8% of the government unfunded from now until the end of the fiscal year, which is October, but then also the national emergency or the national security crisis that he's signing to fund the additional bits of the wall. Let's start off with one portion of this. Your thoughts on the budget of this, the compromise for 55 miles, $1.3 billion in wall funding, and whatever compromise is in there. I don't know many of the details of this bill because it just came out recently, and people are still working on it. And many of them saying, like we criticized Nancy Pelosi for before, you got to pass it to see what's in it, which I'm not a big fan of.
Well, you know, first off, it's Congress's job to set the spending priorities and to they've got the power of the purse. And so they've had their discussions. They've passed the bill, the power of the purse, and they've allocated money towards the wall. Is it as much as the president wanted? No. But, you know, he's now wanting to, stomp his feet and hold his breath and throw a temper tantrum over that and wants to enact a national emergency. A dangerous precedent to set, considering all of the other things out there that, Democrats would like to do, health care, et cetera. So...
Well, here's my thoughts. All right, and let's get into this national security crisis. I like the idea he's signing it. I like the idea that he waited till the very last. He gave every opportunity. Democrats, when we opened up the government, said that they had a bill, they were willing to compromise, and they wanted to work on something, and it ended up coming out with a compromise of 55 miles of a wall. So he gave them every opportunity to do so. I see it as a crisis. I see it as if people are walking across the border illegally, if we have drugs, human trafficking, guns coming in, that's something that we should be concerned about. And if we sign it in a little more loosey-goosey text as we have in the past when Barack Obama signed it for 12 people dying from the swine flu, still terrible and sad, but, if that's a crisis and this isn't, I see something wrong with that, don't you?
Okay, a couple different things. Number one, more than 1,000 people died from the swine flu, including 100 children.
Yes, but when he signed it.
And the national emergency, the reason he signed that was to free up the medication so that we could treat that so it didn't become a much bigger epidemic.
Sure.
Number two, the money that's being allocated for the wall, that is Congress's job. It's not the president's job. The president's trying to enact legislation to force spending. That goes beyond his powers in the Constitution. His job is to enforce the law, not to enact the law. And he's trying to enact a spending law and force spending on something that we don't need. Immigration is down 70% since the year 2000. It's not an emergency. It is a manufactured crisis to get a wall that he promised Mexico would pay for, and he can't do it. So he's trying to find a way to do it.
Well, he's not creating money to spend it, though. He's just moving money around by using the Department of Defense to do so. And look, I see it if we're having to send military troops down there because the caravans are coming to the border and banging on our doors and throwing a fit because they want to come in the way they want to. If we have to send military troops down there, then there's an issue that I think needs to be addressed. And I'd rather spend the money for the wall to build it rather than have military troops down there trying to enforce it. Well, and either way, though, that shows that there's kind of some kind of issue, isn't there?
But we don't have to send military troops down there. That's, again, just part of the manufactured crisis. We didn't have to send them down there. Again, immigration is down 70% from the year 2000. So it's going down, not going up. So you can't say something's an emergency when it's actually reversed itself.
Is there? Do you think there's an issue at the border?
Yes.
There is an issue at the border.
And immigration needs to be reformed. There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
I mean, the immigration system is broken. It's been broken for 40 years. It needs to be reformed. I applaud his efforts on wanting reform. That needs to be done.
Sure.
But saying that there's a national emergency, on the likes of Katrina or the swine flu.
I think there is.
But
I think there is.
How?
There's gang members coming in that murder citizens. I mean, what did we hear when it was gun control? That if we could save one life, then it would be worth more gun control. If we could stop one child from getting abducted for human trafficking, if we could have one person not murdered from gang members that are here illegally, then isn't that something we should address? And look, it's not going to solve all of it. Obviously, people are going to try and find ways around it. But if when Donald Trump got elected and he said we're going to build a wall, the first 3 months, 80% of illegal immigration completely disappeared because they were scared to death of what he was going to do. That means they were afraid of what was going to happen.
He said Mexico was going to build the wall.
No, I don't care who funds it. And you know what? Let's could we agree that maybe we use the seized funds from El Chapo, $14 billion right there. That's drug money that we seized. And you know what? Let's use that to build the wall. And that way, that is technically them funding it. It's not coming out of our budget. And we can still get what we both want. We don't spend the money out of our budget, and we still secure our border even just a little bit more.
But you could still use that $14 billion for something else that would be put to better use. If he declares a national emergency, think about the precedent that's going to set, though, because if we're going to have every president coming along declaring national emergencies every time they don't get their way with Congress, you're going to have them try to do something an unconstitutional gun control national emergency. I agree it's unconstitutional, okay? And I am not in favor.
Why threaten that one? I don't get that one. But see,
I think a national health initiative or something would be a much better threat.
Bill Clinton signed 17 of them. George W. Bush signed 13 of them. Obama signed 12 of them. This has been used in a loosey-goosey way before. I think that people are so adamantly against Trump just because he's Trump that this is a big issue when we've done it for a lot less things, I think, than this one.
But it's not the same kind of things. There's been 59 national emergencies declared over the course of our entire history, 46 of those since 1976.
Sure.
Or 43, I'm sorry. Most of those deal with trade issues. So when there's been, with Iran or with Korea or Cuba or something like that, I mean, those are the kinds of national emergencies that most of these go to, or natural disasters. To take the issue at the border and declare that a national emergency is going to set a horrible precedent.
I agree that it's been used way too much than it should be because I like the separation of powers. I like the constitutional powers being delegated to where they need to be. And yes, funding needs to come from Congress. Congress failed. I think Congress failed, and especially with 8% of the government being unfunded right now, which is why the government shut down before. 8%. It's not half the government. It's not 75% of it's 8% of the government, and we're signing a bill that's $1 trillion to fund them for 8 months until the end of the fiscal year. What in the world is the money going towards? And if we're talking about fiscal responsibility here, we don't need to fund something that's not going to do the job that some feel it's not going to accomplish, like building a wall. Where the hell's the money going, and why do we need such a massive spending bill getting us further into debt?
Well, but that $1 trillion spending bill that you're talking about is for all of government, not just for the 8%. That's for all of the government. But a huge portion of that is going to defense spending. We've got a lot of wars going on around the world that we should just we need to get out of.
Do you agree that Trump's pulling out of some of the stuff over in the Middle East?
I think that I agree with pulling out of the things in the Middle East, but we have to do it in the right way.
Let's apply that money towards the wall.
Or healthcare. Hey, or making sure that people, have a livable wage, or some of these other things that actually help the people here.
Well, I think, and I want to get your thoughts on this as well, as we talk about a crisis, whether it's at the border or whether it's an effect of the border in the rest of the country. Let's talk about low wages for a second. How many jobs are being used by illegal aliens, driving wages down because they're being paid under the table or they're getting it at a really cheap rate? I mean, wouldn't that solve a crisis here in the country of low wages?
If you're an American and losing your job to a person that's coming up from the South that can't speak English and has no permanent residency here, the problem's not with the person coming up. The problem's with you not being able to do your job. I had a friend of mine who's a construction worker.
Yeah, but if they're getting low wages, come on.
Well, I had a friend of mine who is a construction guy, said, hey, had a conversation with the guy. The guy said, "Oh, they're taking my job." said, fine, you show up tomorrow morning at 5:30 and you've got a job. Well, I can't. 5:30. He's like, that's why you don't have a job. It's not because of these guys.
I agree. Work ethic sucks. At the same time, though, that if they are working and they're trying to work hard, whether it's an assembly line job or something, and they're like, I've done it for 20 years, I know what the heck I'm doing, but I have a union that's forcing me at a high wage like this, and now an illegal's coming in with a lower wage. There's nothing I can do. The union's not going to tell me actually get a chip on my wages here. That's an issue with the person coming in saying, yeah, I'll do it for a cheaper wage than you.
Or it's an issue with the Republicans passing these so-called right-to-work laws that prevent unions from being able to
but the union's the one doing it, isn't it? The union's the one saying, hey, you have to have this wage because that's what the cost of living is, so therefore you have to have this wage. When someone else comes in and says, yeah, I'll work at a cheaper rate and I'm not going to be part of the union, then they're going to get that job, and that's what's driving the wages low. Is we can't say that wages are high because we don't have enough unions, so the unions raise the wages, and then people come in without it, and then they drive them back down.
What's driving the wage lower is the employers that are hiring those people.
Well, it's a smart business decision, though.
But, well, it's an illegal business decision if you're hiring somebody that's not a resident of the country.
I agree. I mean, they should be punished for that, but we can't advocate for someone saying, they're illegal and they should have the right to come here and we should take care of them, or we should allow them to be here and not really focus on the issue of stopping them from coming in or fixing the courts to send them back, but they're here and then complain about the businesses hiring them. I mean, we can't have it both ways, though, can we?
You can have... Well, number one, we need to go back to we need to fix the immigration system. It is broken.
Sure.
Instead of taking $5.7 billion and spending it on a wall, how about spend $5.7 billion on in processing of the people that are wanting to come into the country and make sure that they can get in legally? Right now, when you've got a 20-year wait to get into the country, if you come from south of the border as opposed from north of the border, that's a problem. So we need to fix that issue. And that would change a lot of the issues that we have here.
Well, I think we do all across the board. I mean, I saw a story that even illegal Irish were being sent back at a faster pace under Trump's administration than any other time before. I mean, I think he's looking at legitimately not just, this whole racist thing, which I think is absurd of, they're brown skinned, so he doesn't want them to come in. I mean, he's looking at there's an issue with people here illegally, and we need to address this all across the board. And I think that's a good thing.
Well, I think it is a good thing to address.
Sure.
But I think that the manner in which you go about it has to be looked at, too. There are a lot of different ways to address it. And it depends on whether or not you agree that they have a right to come here. That anybody has a right to go in between countries.
And I don't think so.
I do. I think that we are born with inherent rights to move as we wish as human beings. Now,
I think follow the rule of law.
Well, and I think you should follow the rule of law. But I also think that if I'm a parent and I've got a kid that needs medical care, or if I can't support my family, or if I'm worried about getting my head chopped off in Juarez, then I'm going to do whatever I can to get somewhere safe for my family, and I don't care what laws are in place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are obviously terrible situations in the world, and we are the most gracious country letting more people in, I think, than any other nation in the world, and I think we should be proud of that. But the ones trying to cut in front of the line, I think, need to be punished, and we need to stop that. But we're out of time. We got to do this again. It's fun. James, always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you so much, Andy. I appreciate it.
Hey, this is what it's all about. We get the discussions, the different ideas, and this is why we want to change things. So I appreciate the time really much.
Appreciate it.
Always a good time. Bottom of the hour break. When we come back, Davis Liquor Outlet. They'll be hanging out with us right here on the show. This is The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
Now back to the KQAM News Desk.
Legislation passed in Congress does not give President Trump the money he's demanded for a border wall. The White House says Trump will declare a national emergency to obtain funding. Hawaii Democratic Congresswoman and 2020 presidential hopeful Tulsi Gabbard calls such a move unconstitutional.
Because President Trump has not gotten the amount of funding that he wanted to get, he is blatantly taking this action that violates the Constitution, and will be taking dollars that have already been appropriated for military construction projects in different parts of the country, in different parts of the world, and rededicating them to something that he deems is apparently more important.
Amazon decides not to build in Queens, New York, following fierce opposition from politicians angry about nearly $3 billion in tax breaks. The giveback was predicated on the company providing some 25,000 jobs. I'm John Trout.
Macy's President's Day Furniture and Mattress Sale is going on now. It's the perfect time to shop incredible supervised closeouts and great savings, like a 5-piece Radley Shays sectional for $1,789. Pick out a Tribeca Queen storage bed for just $499. And get a free adjustable base when you buy a Beauty Rest Caribbean Blue plush mattress, $597. Plus, learn how you can get 24-month financing when you use your Macy's credit card on qualifying purchases. Right now at Macy's. Savings off sale prices, exclusions apply.
New appliances can do wonders for a kitchen. Right now at the Home Depot, they'll also do wonders for a kitchen budget with up to 30% off appliance special buys, like the 4-piece stainless steel Samsung Kitchen Suite, over $2,000 off a fridge, gas range, microwave, dishwasher, all at once, just in time for dinner. Up to 30% off appliance special buys now at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only while supplies last. See store for details. Electric range available at extra cost. Valid through February 27th.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. Good Friday. Republican legislators in the Sunflower State condemning New York's new law protecting abortion rights with a resolution that would be sent to New York's governor and lawmakers. The Kansas Senate adopted the resolution yesterday on a 27-13 vote. The measure goes next to the House. Kansas abortion opponents are eager to impose new restrictions in their home state, but its legal climate is uncertain, so they're focusing now on New York's law. Winter weather advisories for the Sunflower State in effect until 6 o'clock this evening for portions of Kansas. Some Kansas schools called classes this morning before the next round of snow hits, to include Shawnee Mission, Olathe, Topeka, and Lawrence. A handful of schools also had delayed starts in many parts of the Sunflower State. Kansas News on the Mid-America Network. I'm Rick Everett. When it comes to the trailer you're hauling behind your vehicle, whether it's a big rig or a pickup truck, MJ's Truck Repair at exit 46 off I-135 in Mound Ridge, Kansas has your back. Doonan and Chaparral drop decks, flatbeds, and heavy hauling trailers for the big rigs, along with Gooseneck livestock trailers by Barrett. And for your pickup truck, the utility line of trailers from Rice with 5x10 to 8x20 boxes. MJ's Truck Repair, Mound Ridge.
Hi ladies, it's Tiffany talking about my all-time favorite home decorating source, Jabara's Flooring Outlet. You've heard of Jabara's Flooring for years. They have the largest selection of carpet, wood, and all your favorite floor coverings in the state. And right now, they are offering a free Sonic Clean Soft Carpet Vacuum with every qualifying carpet purchase. Who doesn't need a new vacuum? Am I right, ladies? So take it from a real shopper, someone who loves a great deal. See Jabara's for your new floors. Like they say, the smartest shoppers shop Jabara's. 17th and North Broadway, Wichita.
Wichita Family Dental offers state-of-the-art dental care, treating patients of all ages and offering a full range of services. There's a growing population in Wichita and South Central Kansas who no longer cringe at words like root canal, extraction, or crown because they know Wichita Family Dental practices comfort dentistry. State-of-the-art dental care from bridges, dentures, and dental implants to cleanings and the latest Invisalign technology. Wichita Family Dental, 448-0494, 448-0494.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM. For this morning, snow and freezing drizzle, possibly mixed with sleet before 4 p.m. High around 27, up to a half an inch of new snow and sleet accumulation, wind gusts up to 20 miles an hour, mostly cloudy and 16 for tonight. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 8:35. It's currently 21 degrees.
Call the Voice of Reason now on the ABC Recycling phone lines at 721-8255. This is the Big Talker, KQAM. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier, your personal political therapist. Give him a call at 721-TALK.
I love Fridays, man. This is a great show. Appreciate James Thompson. I do appreciate the sportsmanship of James Thompson coming in, doing a little sparring. That's what it's all about. You know what? We're never going to be able to evolve in our ideas or embrace our conservatism or ideas or whatever we believe in unless we actually have some fun with sparring from the other side. So I appreciate that very much, and James is always a great sport doing so. But we're going to shift gears a little bit. After that, I need a drink, man. I really do. And I'm really excited to have these guys in studio, great sponsors of the show and of the station here. Davis Liquor Outlet, Brian and Blake Davis. Good morning, guys. How we doing? Hey. Hey, I appreciate you guys coming in very much so. It is really cool that you guys are wanting to come in and do this because you guys have some legislative issues going on in the state, along with, I figured that we need to have fun every once in a while to do a bit of a beer review or a whiskey review and see what's a great drink for people can enjoy for the weekend.
Well, we probably should have looked at the weather a little bit better and brought whiskey this morning. I think we were still in the 60-degree mode yesterday. So we brought a couple local breweries.
Okay.
Our law that's getting ready to change is going to put beer up to 6% in grocery stores. So theoretically, we'll be your strong beer headquarters. All liquor stores in the state will be.
Okay.
So we brought our two locals, and I'll let Blake explain the beer while he's doing that. If we want to talk politics about the change, that's great.
Yeah.
After following your last conversation with Mr. Thompson, I feel like I don't know if beer's going to smooth this out or not. So.
Hey, well, no, I think so. It's fun. Now I feel energized. I'm ready to go for the day. You know, I need a little bit of that. And then kick off the day there. So, all right. So first off, talk about a little bit of the changes of what's going on, politically wise, within the community.
So April 1st. Grocery stores, convenience stores, anybody currently that sells cereal malt beverage, that will go from 3.2% to up to 6% alcohol.
Okay.
You won't see many changes in what the product looks like. Bud Light will still look like Bud Light. It just won't say 3.2 on the top. It'll say 6%.
6%.
You'll gradually start seeing as March comes here that you will find that grocery stores will be out of product. They're no longer shipping 3.2 product into the state. So at sometime, correct, to any wholesalers.
Wow.
So pretty much what is on the shelf probably come the 1st of March is what will have to last them through the month.
Okay.
Which could be a great windfall for us. We'll get customers in the door.
Sure.
When they can't find the product at their Quick Trip or at Dillon's or wherever they might shop at.
Sure. Now, was this part of the Uncork movement that we saw the last year or two where they were fighting to try and get the grocery stores in? This is kind of a response to that, or the bill that came out of that movement, right?
Yeah, it is. The Uncork, they wanted beer and wine in the grocery stores.
Okay.
They had tried liquor for a long time, and that was going to be a no-go. People just don't want their hard alcohol next to anything else in a grocery store.
Sure.
This kind of spun off between a beer bill that was introduced 4 or 5 years ago to bring strong beer across the state. And then this spin-off of it was our organization, the Association of Beverage Retailers, sitting down with representatives of the grocery stores and convenience stores, and really just sitting in a room. We hashed out back and forth what they would like. We shot them 4%. They said no. We ended up getting it 6%. We get to have 20% other sales, which means we'll have, if you go in a store right now, you go into a vestibule, and to the left is a smoke shop or party shop, to the right is a liquor store.
Sure.
Those walls will be coming down.
Okay.
So we're tearing the walls down.
Sure.
Kind of funny to follow up your wall talk with
That's
tearing
right.
walls down.
We're
But tearing walls down.
Mr. Liquor Store, tear that wall down.
Exactly. So you'll see a lot of changes in the stores where it's more of an open flow of the building, open flow for the store. Other products on the shelves, and other products can be anything. It's just up to 20%.
I was going to say, what other kind of products are you going to have with this?
Anything that you see in a grocery store or a Quick Trip or a Quick Shop, any of those places, salty foods, things that go hand in hand with alcohol.
I like it.
There's some stores that are in kind of a food desert. There's some stores over in Meridian on the south side that there's no grocery store. You got to go to Seneca. You've got to go miles to find a grocery. So they'll probably be able to exploit this and have grocery items, toilet paper, paper plates.
Interesting. So it's going to be its own little kind of convenience store, and you can get the liquor at the same time.
Correct. Yeah, I think it will be kind of. I mean, if you've been to a big city, there are little bodegas and those kind of things where you walk in, there's everything there. We'll kind of have that same feel for some stores.
Okay.
Some of them that have we have one of our stores at 21st and Avenue that has grocery store in the parking lot with Aldi's. We have a grocery store across the street, one the other way. We might not carry much over there. We're going to. Blake's been working on a email that's going to go out through SurveyMonkey, and we're kind of going to ask our customers what would you like to see? Give us a couple items. So we're getting their feedback. So it's not just something that we like and everything.
What about going into maybe the tobacco industry and doing like even the humidors with the cigars and that kind of stuff? I know that some kind of have that, but there is that divide, and the humidors are kind of off, and it's maybe a separate business. But is there a way to start integrating those two together?
If you're talking about something similar to what the humidor out on West 21st Street, or you just mean like having inside. So at one of our stores, we have a humidor, walk-in humidor inside our store.
Oh, you do? Okay, so it is kind of there already. Okay,
it's already there. It will be, it'll probably stay where it's at, and everything will go around it. But same idea.
Okay,
we'll be able to sell tobacco, and everything will be in the liquor store side.
Man.
So yeah, it'll be a big difference. There's a lot of people that are having a hard time wrapping their head around how this is going to go down and how it's going to work out. There's a lot of retailers that are upset because you will find 18-year-olds selling beer in the grocery stores, and you will not find an 18-year-old selling product in our liquor stores.
Sure.
And that part of the law is because we sell liquor, wine, and beer, and that's what separates us from them. So we still keep a degree of separation.
Well, one thing I do like as well, the fact of going to the liquor store, is that when you go in, you're like, you know what, I don't know quite what I want kind of a wine or a certain type of wine, or I want kind of a whiskey or a certain option. And I love the people that are actually knowledgeable of what it is you're looking for and what the best kind of gets you. I really enjoy that. And you're not going to get that at a grocery store of, an 18-year-old kid saying, well, I think that beer's kind of good right there.
Well, that's on aisle 30.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you where aisle 30 is. We're gonna walk you over there. We're going to talk to you about if it's a red wine you want, if it's a certain scotch or whiskey you're looking for, or a beer. The knowledge, our staff is going to be knowledgeable. One, they can partake in the product, so they can take it home and try it. An 18-year-old's gonna, he's gonna see a commercial and there's sugar water in his beer. I guess he doesn't know.
Yeah, sure.
And everything. So it's education, adults selling to adults.
I like that. Here's my suggestion for the food that you guys can sell: frozen Hot Pockets, man, or frozen pizza rolls. That's what I'm saying.
You want us to go out with some Totinos and
hey,
some
there
rolls
you go. That's what I'm talking about.
You want to buy them singles?
Well,
I just like to buy. You get 5 of those for $1.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe do that in bulk a little bit. You have a few of the brewskis, and there you go.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. It's like, oh yeah, honey, you want some pizza rolls? So I'm going to get some pizza rolls at 1 a.m. Not that I stay up at 1 a.m. anymore because I'm up at 4, but
late night. I don't stay up that late either. I'm not up at 4.
Yeah, can't do that. So you guys brought some good stuff here. Blake, talk about some of these goodies that you guys actually have with us, because you brought a kind of a light and a dark, but you said these are local brews, right?
Yep. So we have 2 beers here, one from Aeroplanes Brewing and one from Wichita Brewing Company. Obviously, Wichita Brewing Company is sort of a staple at this point. Aeroplanes is a little bit newer and just kind of rebranded in the past year or 2 here.
Okay.
Both putting out really great products. So what we brought here are from Aeroplanes. My favorite, just their Pale Ale. It's their most, they have a handful of different beers, but I think the Pale Ale is the best style or best example of a style that they have, and the most approachable. And then the SEAL Team 6 that we brought from Wichita Brewing Company is actually, it's a seasonal they do every year. It's a black IPA, so it's got that kind of heavy dark body of a stout or something darker, but it has that hoppiness of a IPA. So it's a really unique style that you don't see very much.
Very strong and very hoppy, yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing about both of these, is they're both over 6%. So you're not going to find these on grocery shelves. These are going to be in liquor stores. Nowhere else.
I like it. Now, I've always wanted to get more into the dark beers. I'm a guy that drinks like the Coors Light, and in my fridge right now I have Coors Light, and I have Busch, and I have Natty Light, and that's kind of my flavor, and that's what I go for. So getting into the little bit darker stuff, I really only do it around like the St. Patty's Day with a Guinness once in a while, or a Red Killian, which I love the Red Killian, or the Killian Red, whatever it's called. But this is kind of a popular thing seasonally, I guess, with the really cold weather, right?
Yeah, and you're gonna get some, the way they age the black IPA. You're gonna get some notes in there of the chocolate and maybe a little bit of a whiskey, stronger taste to a bourbonish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Once you hit, I mean, really starting in October. I mean, that's when they're really gonna be. Once you hit October, November, everybody's pulling out their, even if it's not dark, it's, you have winter lagers and spices and all that, all kind of those winter warmer style things. And this is kind of the tail end of that as we start to head into the spring and we get back into our, lemony, fruity, light stuff.
Yeah,
so
that does happen. That fruit stuff, it's really taken off for some reason. And now I will say, like the Shock Top, I love the Shock Top with the orange stuff. I mean, that is a great type of light beer. So, the fruit and the different flavorful stuff really coming out now.
Yeah. I mean, at this point in the craft world, sours are huge, whereas, in the past it was so, IPA heavy, but now there's so many more approachable styles out there, which is great for, people like you mentioned, if you have, Busch and Coors and that's what you're used to, jumping into an IPA or a double IPA, that's going to, blow your mouth wide open.
Yeah,
You're
a bit of a change.
Okay. and it's also, more approachable for people who aren't beer drinkers but are interested in it. Your Shock Top or Leinenkugels or any other kind of fruited beers out there, I think they're really approachable.
Now, with these two here, what's a good kind of meal or kind of food that you eat with them that would really go with it? I know they always say like nuts and the kind of salty foods with beer just in general, but with something like this, the dark or the light, is there anything special like, hey, you really need to snack on this while you're eating it or while you're drinking?
I'm going to go with the Still Team 6 here. As big as it is, it's imagine drinking a big red wine or something.
Okay.
You can do a steak with this. You can do pasta, anything along those lines. Something with that has a lot of flavor to it.
Okay.
Because it's gonna offset it, especially with the flavor notes that you get. Now the Pale Ale, for me, is kind of just an everyday lawnmower style. You drink your Natty Light. I don't get any flavor profile out of that.
Okay.
But I'm gonna take home a 6-pack.
Sure.
Have 3 or 4 beers, and that's when you can kind of roll with the flow. You're having a snack, watching the game, whatever you got going on. Blake cooks a lot better than I do, so I don't know what else he would have with it. But yeah, I'd go with something bigger with the Still Team and hamburgers or anything else. If you're just cooking out or you're hanging out with family eating a pizza, I mean, both of them go well with anything or nothing.
Sure.
Yeah, I find just sort of an off the wall thing if you're more on the snacky side for anything that's kind of bigger and hoppier like this. If you combine a meal with it and that kind of mellows things out and balances things out, and if you're on the opposite end and you're trying to crank up your intense flavors and all that, I find
right.
And this is an acquired taste just like the IPA, but a blue cheese plus a hoppy beer, you get the bite of the hops and then the bite of the blue cheese, and they play together, and it's you do it all day and your palate's shot by the end of the day, but it's sort of a little higher end stack. It's the beer equivalent of your wine and cheese.
Sure, I do. I really like it. It's really good, both with the dark and with the light one there. Again, remind everybody what types of beers these are, and they can find you guys at Davis Liquor.
Yeah, so this is the Aeroplanes Pale Ale and the Wichita Brewing Company Steel Team 6. Both local, both
Steel
excellent.
Team 6,
Yep.
making it happen. I like it. Where are you guys located?
Well, all right. So we have 3 locations here in town. 21st in Amden on the north side of town. They're in Sweetbriar. 13th in Waco. Sorry about that. 13th in Waco. I got my numbers backwards. 13th in Waco, right there by North High. And 47th K15 on your way down to Derby in the Oaklawn area.
Very good.
Each of the stores.
So you're kind of all over the place.
We're kind of mid-central, north and south. Don't go east, don't go west.
Sure.
Where you're crossing the town, we're probably close by there.
Sure. When do you expect to see some of the other commodities in the stores here? You said it starts in April? So it's coming up soon.
April 1st is when we can sell them. You might find some things on people's shelves that say cannot sell till April 1st, but we can start buying the product the 1st of March.
Okay.
Cannot sell it legally until April 1st. I think most stores you're going to see gradually work their way into it. We have a little bit of a program that we're going to be working on. One store in April, then we're going to go to May, we're going to do another one, and then June, July, August, and get everything one step at a time.
I like it.
So middle of the month in April, you'll start seeing some changes for us.
It's going to be good.
I think so.
I could see it turning into like the convenient quick trip thing. You guys are going to have a restaurant in the back there with like popping out pizzas and warm burritos and stuff.
We'll be able to do. Honestly, I think you're going to see some stores, especially in the state, that are in nicer either nice parts of town or far east, far west.
Sure.
Just where they're going to they're going to have very fresh cut stuff. Along those lines, if they want to, especially up in the Kansas City area, I think you'll see some of those stores become more of a cheese meat market where they can do that. I think everybody will have a little different take on what they're going to do, and if you're going to do fresh food, then you're talking food handling, you're talking licenses, you're talking a whole lot of other things. But
the opportunities there for whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and I think sort of I don't know if irony is the right word, but going into this bill and the proponents for it and everything, it was the key for them, and uncorking everything was convenience, one-stop shopping, and the way things have played out, we have kind of become the one-stop shop because we're the only place you're going to get beer, wine, spirits, and your cups, your corkscrews, your snacks. And
I gotta say, I walk into your store and I feel like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, oh, there's so many options. And then I get out. My wife's like, did you get the one bottle of wine? I'm like, yeah. And look at what else I got.
It is. I use that analogy a lot.
Yeah.
So somebody's walking around going, what do you need? Well, I just don't know yet. It's like. It's like being a kid in a candy.
It makes me very happy. It is. I love it. I appreciate you guys, Blake and Brian Davis. Davis Liquor Outlet is all over town here. Check them out on Facebook as well, Davis Liquor Outlet. I really appreciate you guys coming in. This is fun. We got to do it again. I'm thinking maybe right around early summertime. We got to get you guys back in and start seeing the transition of what kind of flavored stuff's out there.
Can I throw one more thing out real quick?
Yeah, go for it, please.
Visit us online at davisliquoroutlet.com. Sign up for our coupons. We have a monthly emailer that comes out. 15 coupons come out in it. Sign up now. Our survey comes out on Monday. There will be some coupons in it also. So when we do something, we try to benefit the customer at the same time.
I love it. DavisLiquorOutlet.com. Coupons all the time. We really appreciate it, guys. We'll get you back in soon.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
Always a good time. Got to take a break. Wrapping up the show. We got some calls on the line. Stay here. Also, we'll check in with the Inman Harvest Cafe. Cheers, my friend. Appreciate it very much. There it is. This is the Voice of Reason. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier. Opening markets on KQAM, brought to you by Schmidt & Sons of Mount Hope and Winfield.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network in for Craig Mead. I'm Andy Hoosier, starting off a Friday morning here, and we're seeing kind of mixed across the board when it comes to grains and soybeans. March corn right now up a point to 375 3/4. May corn is up a point right now to 384 even. In July, 1 point up to 391 3/4. Over in the wheat, we're seeing red on this side right now. March wheat is down a half to 506 1/2. May wheat is down a quarter to 510 1/4, while July is sitting 3/4 lower to 512 1/2. KC wheat, we are seeing green here, which is nice. A quarter up to 481 3/4 for March. KC wheat for May is up a quarter to 488 1/2, and July is up a quarter to 496 even. Over in the soybeans, we are seeing mixed here as well. March corn up right now 4 1/4 to 907 3/4. May is sitting 4 points up to 921 3/4, while July 3 3/4 up to 935 1/4. Soybean meal for March right now is up 150 to 307 even. May soybean meal is up 150 to 311.10, and July is up 140 to 315 10 cents. Soybean oil for March in the red, 6 cents lower right now, 29.83 for March. May is sitting 7 cents lower to 30.17, and July is sitting 6 cents lower to 30.51. Over in the livestock, they're not quite on the board yet, but had an interesting day yesterday. In the rest of the markets, we are seeing a little bit mixed, but kind of green in the energy market right now. Crude oil for March is up 37 cents to 54.79. April crude oil is 37 cents higher to 55.15, and May is 35 cents higher to 55.70. Over in the unleaded gas right now, we're seeing 1 cent higher to 152 for March. April, a penny higher to 169, and May, a penny higher to 171. Heating oil, same story, a penny higher to 198 for March. April at 198 as well, just a penny up, and May sitting at 198 as well. Market information, Mid-America Ag Network.
For decades, white planters have earned a reputation for boosting yields and profits. Now they've taken a quantum leap forward with the addition of precision planting, world-renowned technology. This is Leroy, the tractor man from Schmidt & Sons. Did you know that precision planting technology is fully integrated into your equipment straight from the factory? Right now, you can demo the 9800 VE Series planter, which takes the trusted systems white planters have used for years and combines them with precision planting's innovations for an even higher level of performance. It's all designed to give you more speed so you can plant faster while still getting the seed exactly where it needs to be. More accuracy, one seed per space, and seed spacing consistent across the entire width of the planter, and higher yields with real-time data to help you make better decisions. White planters and precision planting. We've combined two proven brands into one fantastic value. Find out more at Schmidt & Sons, your white planter dealer, located in Mount Hope and Winfield, or check us out on the web at schmidtinc.com.
Welcome into the Voice of Reason, wrapping up the program today, about 5 minutes at the top of the hour, and as you know, it is time for us to check in. Boy, we've had a fun show today. James Thompson, Davis Liquor Outlet, those guys swinging in our pass it or exit. Now it's time. I'm a little hungry. It's time for the Inman Harvest Cafe's Fried Chicken Friday, baby. 112 South Main Street in downtown Inman. Make sure to go and check them out. They got all the great stuff today. And on the phone with us here is Mr. Nick with the Inman Harvest Cafe. Nick, what's happening, brother?
Good morning, Andy. It's Nick. How are you today?
Hey, we are living the dream, my friend. Happy Friday, and I love always the conversations not only we just had, but also what you guys are doing there at the Inman Harvest Cafe. I smell the breakfast already, I can tell you that.
We got the hash browns, the bacon, everything going on, and it is Happy Fried Chicken Friday.
Yeah.
So I'll be starting frying up that chicken here in about a half an hour or so, having it all fresh and ready for everybody to come down. If you want to brave the weather, otherwise I understand, don't be unsafe and everything, but we are here if you are hungry.
Hey, let me tell you something. The fried chicken is totally worth the drive up there regardless of the weather, because then you get to be nice and warm and cozy on the inside with the fried chicken, with the roast beef, with the free slice of pie for tonight. But you guys have a lot more than that. What else you guys got going on today?
That's right. Well, today we're having a corned beef casserole, so we got our little corned beef going on, hit you right there in the Irish eyes and get it going on there. And then a Mexican lasagna. So that'll be good. I don't know obviously there's going to be lots of cheese involved. Of course, we got to do the cheese thing. And then we're having chicken surprise, because you know everything tastes like chicken. So it's not the fried chicken, but it will be a different dish there. And I don't know what kind of sauces she get in there, but it'll be something unique and yummy as always.
I like it. You know what you should do sometime is do like a smorgasbord of different types of chicken, from fried chicken to grilled chicken to breaded chicken to like chicken on a stick to whatever, and just do like a whole thing of chicken all day. That'd be kind of fun.
Just a chicken conglomerate all day long.
That's what I'm saying.
We can work on that. Yeah. Probably about the time we get that bumbleberry ice cream going on.
I love it. Yes, yeah. How's that one coming, by the way? You guys are still working on it, right? Yeah.
We're still working on it, yes, sir. But today, hey, don't forget, in the evening that you get your free slice of pie, and our famous roast beef is on the buffet as well. So today for pies, we're having coconut cream, peanut butter, black forest, which is chocolate pudding, cherries and whipped topping, banana split, of course, cherry cream cheese, rhubarb custard, pecan, and regular custard. So we got a whole bunch of different pies to tantalize your taste buds, as it were.
I like it. And yes, from that dinner buffet, 5 to 8 o'clock tonight, get that free slice of pie along with your dinner. And you got to snag it before it goes away, because it goes away quickly, because people absolutely love that stuff. So, man, you guys got it going on today.
That's right. So come down, Inman Harvest Cafe. We're open till 8 p.m. tonight. Get your buffet in the evening, drink, and pie comes with it. And I wanted to tell you, Andy, I was on hold for the other time, that Andy's Dispensary that comes out, you come out with your alcohol and tobacco and paraphernalia. I need to talk to you conservative Republicans that are smoking their cigars and drinking their scotch to make sure that there is cannabis-infused beer and wine as well. And so, hey, I was going to ask them if they were going to do that once I talk you guys into making sure that we're fair on the capitalism and the conservative principles.
You know, I'm glad you brought it up, and they're going to be back in probably next month sometime, and I will definitely ask them for sure. I have asked them off the air at times, and they did say that it is a market that will be looked at, and if there's a demand for it, then they may have it stock if we continue to move down that road to allow that. So that is in the works for a lot of places in the area, including Davis Liquors. So, but yeah, we'll get some more details on that for the next time they swing by.
Hey, Andy, you have a good day, and we'll talk to you later. Happy Fried Chicken Friday.
Happy Fried Chicken Friday, my friend Nick. Always a pleasure. Right there. We always appreciate them very much partnering up with us here on the show. We love all the sponsors, love all the callers, love all the listeners. Thank you for watching us on TV, YouTube, listening on the radio each and every day. It's a great time, isn't it? Because we do things no other show does. We're unique, and we like that. This is your show. This is The Voice of Reason. I'm off Monday, Tuesday. I'll be back on Wednesday. Enjoy the guest hosts for the first couple of days next week.
This is a Steckline Communications station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita Proud. It's time for the latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by The Laundry Station, Kansas's premier laundry services provider in the Wichita area. Centrally located on Oliver at Kellogg. The Laundry Station.
Good Friday morning. Winter making itself known again in the Sunflower State and here in south central Kansas. Freezing precipitation started falling in western Sedgwick County prior to 6 o'clock. The precipitation eventually making its way across the entire county. Only one school closure in the immediate Wichita area this morning, that being Conway Springs. The winter weather advisory that was issued yesterday does at this point remain in effect until 6 o'clock this evening. A possible mixture of snow, sleet, and freezing rain could add up to potentially slippery road conditions. A woman was hospitalized after an early morning shooting in East Wichita shortly after 1 o'clock this morning in the 800 block of South San Pablo Street. Cake TV reports police say the woman was shot while inside a home. No arrests have been made, no other information immediately released. Sedgwick County authorities have arrested 10 people in connection to a string of burglaries and recovered $170,000 worth of stolen property. The Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office said it received information this week from the Sumner County Sheriff's Office that property was possibly being kept in a storage unit on South George Washington Boulevard. Sedgwick County detectives discovered the storage unit contained property that was taken in multiple burglaries. Cake TV reports 8 cases, including Wichita, Bel Air, Winfield, and Sedgwick County, were listed in a release from the Sheriff's Office. All 10 people arrested were from Sedgwick County. About $70,000 worth of property has been returned to the rightful owners. Authorities are working to identify who the remaining property belongs to. Demonstrators gathered yesterday in front of the Sedgwick County Courthouse, wanting more answers regarding the death of 9-year-old Royale Spencer. The boy was shot last month by an 11-year-old at a Wichita home, and the family is wanting to ensure there were no flaws in the police investigation. From the KGSO KQAM News Desk, I'm Rick Everett. Now with sports, here's Doug Downs.